What's up, everybody? Good morning and a very happy Wednesday to you all. TK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios. Whether you are listening online or whether you're listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online at sportstalk1051.com. Your smart devices, like your Alexa devices, you've got the app, the Wisco Sports App. You can download that, take it on the go. Video stream up and rolling as well on YouTube. Multiple different ways for you to be tuning in. We got that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line up and rolling. The Section 105 chats on our video stream also up and rolling. But making a turn on this week, what do we have on our game plan for us this morning? Let's get those trade horns out going. Eau Claire Express last night in a win or go home situation against the Lacrosse Loggers, and your Eau Claire Express picking up the W. So they continue their playoff run, and well, there's no rest because they're back at it tonight against St. Cloud at Carson Park. So let's pack up the stadium, right? Let's get this thing going here. But close game, great game last night at Carson Park, and your Express, they continue to roll, baby. They continue to keep this playoff run going here. So kind of taking a look at the rest of the playoffs here, if you're kind of doing some scoreboard watching and such, as we mentioned, we got St. Cloud taking on the Express tonight. So, but yeah, let's get the season going. It's been a fun season. It's been really fun to watch this Express team continue their path to hopefully a Northwoods League championship. But just an overall solid season, awesome season from start to finish, and hopefully this will lead to a Northwoods League championship. But shout out to the Express last night, and best of luck to the Express tonight, taking on St. Cloud. So speaking of baseball, the Brewers can't say the same thing, though, as they fell last night to the Padres. 11-2 was not a great game. Padres putting up a 5 spot in the bottom of the second right away. Brewers just couldn't get that. It was a weird lineup. You had players. Terrain getting the start at short. You had Contreras batting in the 5th spot. Yelly in the 6th. It was injuries, I know, kind of factoring into this thing. Kyle Harrison was not sharp. He just went 4 2/3, gave up 8 earned runs on 10 hits, also issued 3 walks and 3 home runs. The Padres had a whopping 17 total hits last night. So the Brewers will try to avoid being swept later this afternoon with Dustin May getting his second start, but Robbie Ray, who was acquired before the deadline, is getting the start for the Padres. So, and then we've got the Dodgers after this. But Brewers banged up with Cooper Pratt on the injured list. Joey Ortiz has been banged up. So I guess they're trying to get through this thing. I know Jet Williams was banged up the other day at AAA. So going through a little bit of an injury spell here. Can the Brewers keep their heads above water and kind of get through this? Cooper Pratt sounds like now we won't see him until late August with a mild hamstring injury. So can they I don't want to be over dramatic here with everything, but you look at where things are at in the NL Central. You got the Cubbies, who are 8-2 in their last 10 games. Just 4 games back now. 4 games back from the Brewers. And if we do a little bit of scoreboard watching or taking a look at the upcoming schedule here, you got the Brewers taking on the Dodgers after this game against the Padres. The Cubbies will wrap up a series with Washington today, tomorrow, and then they've got the Cardinals. So, yeah, it's getting closer and closer and closer. But So we'll talk some Brewers baseball as we recap last night and take a look ahead to today's game, series finale against the Padres, and hopefully the Brewers can avoid being swept. So, what else do we got on the docket here this morning? We'll chat a little football. We'll chat the Packers travel day today for the Green and Gold as they get set for preseason game number one, and it'll be against kind of Green Bay East, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we've got a little football action here, and you talk about a team that's kind of going through some injuries here a little bit too, but we'll go through some of the latest from the last few days of what's been going on at training camp, including a little bit with what the plan's going to be with some of the starters for tomorrow's preseason game number one. Will we see Jordan Love? Will we see some of the starters get in on the action? We'll tell you what Matt LaFleur had to say about that game plan. So we'll talk a little football here this morning. Also on the docket, we're going to catch up. We're going to chat with Ty from Slab Factory. So he'll be joining us at 8 o'clock. I know we just had the Slab Factory Packs and Pints event this past Sunday. It was really fun. Was there for a little bit, so a fantastic event. But reminder, as always, if you have any questions for Ty that you would like to throw out, please hit us up with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Also, since it is Wednesday, it's a What If Wednesday. So what are some what-if sports scenarios that you'd like to throw out there just for a fun conversation? And then we'll do a little, what are we doing here? What are we doing here Wednesday? So you can send those on over. Text them, 715-830-1912, or hit us up on the Section 105 chat room. So that's your game plan for us this morning. Let's get things going here, shall we? We'll take our first break, and then we'll get things going here on the leadoff, right? Let's talk some Brewers as we open this up. How concerned are you with what we've seen with from the Brewers from the last couple games here? Maybe not too concerned. You're kind of chalking it up with injuries, but you got to factor in the Cubs in the rear view mirror. Are you starting to sweat a little bit? You starting to get a little bit nervous? Or you're just like, hey, it's a tough stretch. We'll be fine. Gonna be good. We got this. How you feeling right now about your Milwaukee Brewers? Let me know. All right, that's where we'll lead things off. So we'll take a quick break and get things rocking and rolling here this morning. Coming up after these few words. The countdown to fall sports is on. From Friday night football to volleyball, soccer, cross country, athletes across the Chippewa Valley are getting ready to compete. But when injuries happen, getting the right care matters. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine specializes in helping athletes getting back in the game with expert orthopedic care, sports medicine, and treatment that you can trust. Whether you are a weekend warrior or a high school athlete chasing your goals, their team is here to keep you moving. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, your partner in staying active, healthy, and ready for the season ahead. All right, let's lead things off here this morning, chatting a little Brew Crew here as the Brewers last night falling to the Padres of San Diego. 11-2 loss for the Brew Crew. A game that kind of got out of hand a little bit earlier. Off nights for Kyle Harrison. Hopefully that's just one of those nights. I mean, every pitcher's not going to be perfect or every great outing in that, but I hope that this was just one of those that you kind of forget and move on right away. But the line for Kyle Harrison last night officially 4 2/3, 10 hits, 8 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 home runs. Did strike out 3. I feel like Bryce Wilson is just the dude. He's been brought back on the club. It's like one of those guys. It feels like, all right, game's kind of out of hand here at this point. We just need somebody to go eat up some innings, go out there and do it. Don't really expect a whole lot, but I mean, he went 2 1/3 and gave up 3 earned runs too. So, and then Gary Sanchez shutting it down for the Brewers bullpen, going an inning and giving up a couple hits. But hey, no earned runs. But the team, well, they're dealing with some injuries here. As we know, Cooper Pratt's with a hamstring. Latest updates, sounds like a late August return for Cooper Pratt. We know Joey Ortiz is also a little bit banged up. So the Brewers last couple nights have had to kind of get sort of creative with their lineup. I mean, the other night you had Andrew Vaughn getting a start at third base. Last night, Terang getting the start at shortstop. Brewers just trying to plug some holes here to get things going, but it's been kind of rough. It's been kind of rough. And then, you bring in some newbies, some new bodies. And you kind of saw last night, too, maybe, talking about Bay and what could have been a triple play. Maybe just because of that chemistry, that lack of chemistry between a lot of the guys and some guys playing different spots affected the triple play possibility. But nonetheless, Brewers dropping the first 2 games of this series against the Padres. It has some fans out there kind of wondering, kind of questioning, should we be concerned? Or is it just one of those that, it's 2 games. They're banged up. They'll be fine when they get healthy. But also, do you have to factor in, the Cubs are now just 4 games behind. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. The schedule, let's call it what it is. It's a little bit easier for the Cubs going forward in the next few games here, where Brewers do have to take on the Dodgers after this. And I know the Dodgers have been struggling here as of late. But are you starting to maybe get a little tense, a little bit nervous where everything's at this point in time? On a scale of 1 to 10, how you feeling right now, Brewers fans? Are you a little nervous for your team? Are you a little concerned for your ball club? Or are you, let's talk next Monday and see where everything's at? Maybe that's what side would you be on? I'll be honest. I'm a little nervous because of the injuries, I think, mostly here for the Brewers. And last night, too, you add in that Bryce Terang has a sprained thumb, according to Pat Murphy, and he said might not be the best time. Contreras, I mean, he got struck in the arm. Murphy's saying he'll be sore. I think everybody kind of knows that has played baseball, been struck in the arm. Yeah, you're going to be a little sore. But I think that's where I'm most nervous about with this Brewers team is the injuries starting to kind of pile on at positions and you're kind of, it's almost like, to kind of compare to maybe a little football a couple of years ago when it felt like the Packers in the secondary and the safety, they were so banged up and they were shuffling players around, or, on an offensive line, you're just trying to plug holes and maybe moving guys to spots that they're not the greatest at. It kind of feels that way for the Brewers right now, trying to just plug some holes and keep their head above water. May not be the greatest. It might not be the greatest lineup out there defensively, or you're asking guys to play spots that they don't have a ton of experience at. I'm not concerned about Kyle Harrison right now. Let's see how he bounces back. I'm more concerned about these injuries at this point in time. Let's see how they kind of battle through this. That's where my biggest concern is at. Is can they keep their head above water and get through this little injury spill and still remain in first place in the division once you get guys starting to come back here? It's one of those. I mean, you can't predict it. It's one of those things in the sports, and we talk a lot about it, especially like for football and that. But, health. A lot of it is dependent on health. I mean, you look at the Dodgers last year. Right? They are one of the maybe only teams, or very, very, very few teams that have so much depth. Where like last year they had a lot of injuries to the pitching staff, but they are so talented elsewhere, they were able to still, win a bunch of games, put themselves in a postseason spot. They got all those guys back right before the playoffs, and bada bing, bada boom. And you just hope that the Brewers, with a little bit of a tougher schedule here, are able to combat those injuries, get through these injuries, and once those guys come back, here we go. Let's go. But I think it's fair to be a little concerned with where the injuries are at. I'm not pushing the panic button by any means. I don't think we're there yet. But you just hope that these injuries to Pratt or even Ortiz or some of these other, now Terang with a sprained thumb. We saw last year with a broken finger, broken thumb, how much it affected Contreras, especially from an offensive standpoint. You hope that's not the case when it comes to Terang. But you just hope that maybe after a couple games, or maybe after a few games, maybe a week or two, a lot of these guys are going to start to come back. Even Frelick, I know he's, down in Nashville, but sounds like when he does come back, it's going to be more for a DH role because, well, he's not quite ready to throw with that shoulder injury. And it doesn't help matters, too, when you got offensive guys that aren't playing at the highest of levels. Christian Yelich being one of them. Yes, he hit the 2-run shot the other night, and he's been hitting a little bit better here as of late. 238 in his last 21 at-bats. Still needs to be better. But other guys, they got to step up. That's a guy like Garrett Mitchell, who has been really quiet as of late. You look at his last 30 games, he's only hitting .216. You want to narrow it down to his last 22 at-bats, just 182. We got to get that Garrett Mitchell back that we saw, month or so ago? Where it was like, dang, okay, this is the Garrett Mitchell that we were all hoping for, that we were all expecting, or what the Brewers envisioned him to be. Especially if the Brewers are going to continue to bat him in that third spot in the lineup, like they did last night. Got to be a producer there. Contreras. I mean, offensively, 114 at-bats. His last $114, 114 at-bats. Dude's only hitting 175 and only slugging 289. Just got to get better offensively from some of these mainstay players on this Brewers squad. They've got to be better. And hopefully, if you take a look at it from a glass half full approach, let's maybe look at it from this where it's like, okay, let's get this funk out of our system right now. Once it comes playoff time, hopefully they're getting that momentum, because you're going to start to hear people say, well, did they peak too early? Did they play their best baseball too early? And it's one of those, how do you control that? Tell guys, hey, just dial it down a notch and then pick it back up closer. You can't do that. We got to take a quick break. Plenty more Brewers talk, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you right now with the Brewers? Yeah, you might say it's only a couple games. You're right. It is only a couple games. But I think, do you factor in how well the Cubs are playing, and now you look at where things are at in the standings, and you look at the upcoming schedule here, with the Brewers wrapping up against the Padres, a better Padres team right now. You've got Cubs wrapping up with the Nationals. Cubs look at last week, right? How they defeated the Dodgers. Now you got the Brewers taking on the Dodgers. Cubs are going to be taking on the Cardinals. You're starting to sweat a little bit. You're starting to get a little nervous with the Cubs right behind you. Yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm not full panic mode, but I'm feeling it a little bit. Of course. But where are you at? Let me know. We'll take a quick break. Preview today's Game 3 as the Brewers will try to avoid being swept. And it's a couple pitchers with making another start with their new teams. 2 pitchers that were dealt before the deadline. Dustin May for the Brewers, Robbie Ray for the Padres. We'll preview this game coming up after these few words. You know what happens every year? 1 minute, you're grilling some burgers, heading to the lake, and watching the kids play outside, baseball games, and the next thing you know, you're shopping for school supplies and wondering where summer went and maybe starting football practice like we just did the other night. Man. Well, before the backpacks come out and the busy fall schedule takes over, now is the perfect time to freshen up your home with some new flooring from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whether it's soft new carpet for the family room, durable luxury vinyl planks like some Ridge and Max flooring for the entire home, the team at Carpet City Flooring Center will help you find the perfect floor for your family and your budget. They're locally owned, they know Wisconsin homes, and they're committed to making the process easy from start to finish. Make the most of these last weeks of summer. Stop on into Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire today, because home is where Wisconsin families make their best memories. Taking a look at some of the texts, it looks like a lot of you are, if I had to average it out, 5.5. I got quite a few people. If you're just joining in, I asked on a scale of 1 to 10. Just asked, where are you at, maybe on a concern level here for the Brewers? Considering what we've seen the last couple games, looking ahead to the schedule, and looking at some of the injuries here. So, not going through all the texts because there's quite a few, but just kind of mathing it off the hip. I'd probably say 5.5 is where the average is. It's okay. I can get that. I understand that. Again, I think my biggest concern here is probably injuries for the Brewers. And it's just coming at a bad time when you look at the schedule. So, at least on the positive side of things, it doesn't feel like it's going to be long-term stuff, but who the heck knows, right? Let's take a look at today's game. Preview this as the Brewers will try to avoid being swept by the Padres. We got a couple of pitchers here that are making another start for their new teams. On the Brewers side of things, it's Dustin May going for the Crew, making his second starts with the Brewers. And on the flip side, you've got Robbie Ray going for the Padres. So now when we look at these lineups, there's a few batters that have quite a bit of experience. I mean, these are two veteran pitchers, so they've been around. So, yeah, you're going to have some experience with some of these guys. Now, from the Padres lineup going up against May, remember, because May also played for the Dodgers quite a bit too. But Bogart's 14 career at-bats is just 143. I'm kind of going through some of the players that have a lot of at-bats against him. You've got Cronenworth, who's 19 career at-bats, 263. Manny Machado, 37 career at-bats, 270, including a couple of dingers. You've got Tatis, 28 career at-bats, a dinger, and 250. And then you got others like Sheets is 9 career at-bats, 111. Renifo, 7 career at-bats is 429. And that's, yes, Luis Renifo, who right now this year, I mean, since he's left the Brewers, he's been playing a little outfield here, but he's hitting 280 in his last 7 games because, of course, he is. Brewers could probably use him right now. On the flip side, you got Robbie Ray, left-handed pitcher, and Vaughn and Yelich have the most career at-bats against him. Vaughn in 15 career at-bats is just 200 with a home run. Yelich, 16 career at-bats, 250. Other than that, not a ton and not some great numbers. You've got Sanchez with 8 career at-bats, does have a home run, 125. Contreras, 5 career at-bats, 200. Tarek, 5 career at-bats, is 0 So Cheerio, just 3 career at-bats, 333. Now, a little bit more on Robbie Ray. His last game against Houston did get charged with the loss. He went 5 innings, giving up 7 hits, 4 earned runs, walked 5. That was a big thing. Walking 5 in that game. But July, he had a really, really good month of July and a fantastic month of June. I mean, in the month of June, 5 games started. He was 4-0 with a 1.36 ERA. July at 5 games, 3-0 with a 2.00 ERA. So maybe you chalk up that first appearance with the Padres as, okay, new guy, coming in, a little bit of an unknown. Maybe you kind of, just like, okay. Because you look at what he did in June and July, dude pitched at an incredibly high level. And that was after a down month of May. So with the Brewers offense that's banged up, struggling here a little bit, it's going to be a huge test. It's going to be a really tough test. Dustin May, he had a quality start in his first appearance with the Brewers, picking up a win against Pittsburgh. 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. So you would imagine, hopefully, more comfortable, more familiar he gets with him and Contreras and Sanchez and the rest of the ball club that, all right, we'll get more games like that. He set the bar high. It was a quality start for him. And really, when you look at his last couple games here, I mean, he's been pitching at a pretty decent level. Even when he was with St. Louis, his last game against the Cubs, 5 innings, just 1 hit, no earned runs. Again, Cincinnati on the 24, 6 innings, 1 earned run. So, I mean, his last 3 outings have been pretty darn solid. Pretty good. Can he continue? Because the Brewers are going to need him. Boy, they're going to need him today to go out there and, kind of pick up Kyle Harrison from last night. It's just, is the Brewers offense going to do their part? Are they going to be able to go out there and give him some much-needed run support against a very tough start with Robbie Ray on the mound, too? First pitch, 3:10. You can listen to that game on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Coverage began 35 minutes prior. So, yeah, a few more of you kind of chiming in. It's about 5.5. The highest one I think we've had is Bo saying 8. But everybody else has been around 5, 4, 6. But C-Bomb says, good morning, El Capitano. Welcome back. You can't go away again because the Brewers start sticking when you do. Great job by you and the excellent turnout at the Kasper Classic. Looking forward to some Packers preseason ball and seeing what's going on in the cornerback room. So far, I like the energy I'm seeing out of Gannon, and hopefully that translates to the defense. Now, big-time shout-out to all the golfers that were there for last Friday for the Classic. Big time thanks to everybody who stopped by to support it. It's all of you. It's not me. It's all of you. It's the golfers. It's the partners. It's the supporters. It's the volunteers. So big thanks to the rest of you. But thanks for the kind words there, C-Bomb. It was good hanging out with you last Friday too. So yeah, we got some football to talk about here too as we get set for preseason game number 1. How much would you like to see the starters play in tomorrow's game? Matt LaFleur maybe gave us a little bit of a hint on what that plan is going to be. So let's kind of talk about that as we finish up the first hour, shall we? We'll take a quick break, and we'll start to wrap up hour number 1 after these quick words. If you're from Wisconsin, you know that there is something special about this time of year. The days, they're getting a little shorter. The evenings, they're cooling off. And before you know it, hunting season will be here. That means now is the time to get your gear ready. Whether you need a new firearm, ammunition, or optics, or maybe just some advice, make Tilden Gun your first stop. The folks at Tilden Gun aren't just there to help sell you equipment. They're hunters too. They know what works. They're happy to answer your questions, and they'll help make sure that you're ready long before opening morning arrives. So don't wait until the last minute. Stop by Tilden Gun, get geared up, and start counting down the days to another great Wisconsin fall. Tilden Gun, helping Wisconsin hunters make the most of every season. Happy hunting and good luck, and be safe in the great outdoors. So, few things here. So, the Packers, it's travel day today for the Pack. No practice at training camp as they get set for preseason game numero uno against the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. It sounds like we may see a little Jordan Love in action and even a little Aaron Rodgers in action. So, Matt LaFleur saying the other day that does expect Jordan Love and some of the starters to be playing in the game. Now, it could change. How long they will play, that remains to be seen. But he did say as of right now, Love will play. But he said that there is value in getting mentally prepared to go play a game. And he did say that some starters may play longer than others. I think a couple more things that have really maybe popped out from practice the last few days, just playing a little catch up here. And I think one of it is, or first one is, Anthony Belton, I think, is in real danger of losing his starting spot. And he's acknowledged it, that he's got to be better. He's got to play better. He's got to practice better. Seems like Jacob Monk potentially could be in that running, or maybe Monk playing at center, Sean Ryan going over to guard. But you got Burton, the rookie, who they're really high on too. So Anthony Belton, a second-round pick from last year, looks like his spot might be in real danger. And then Keyshawn Nixon, now I know this was last Friday, but if you're watching a little bit of Family Night, Matthew Golden roasted him. I mean, Matthew Golden, and there has been practice clips, Keyshawn Nixon, and then it was shortly the first practice after Family Night. Keyshawn Nixon was getting reps with the twos. Heck, he was even getting reps with the third-string defense. But then yesterday's practice, he was back with the starters. But it's hard not to look at that and say, okay, how long is the leash for Keyshawn Nixon? I still think he will start the season as a starter, but you have to question, you have to wonder, where's that leash? How long is that leash? To me, Brandon Cisse, he's a starter. When we look at these corners, if there was one guy that I feel like if we were to rank him or to power rank him in terms of who's the best, just based off of what we're seeing in some of the reports, Brandon Cisse might be number one. Number two, it might be the shoulder shrug emoji. Benjamin St. Juste was getting some reps with the ones with Brandon Cisse when Keyshawn Nixon was out. Or kind of relegated to the twos, if you will. But this is where I'm looking at preseason, these games now, and saying, all right, what do we got with this cornerback group? What's the deal here? Carrington's still out with the I don't know if he's going to play, but I don't know. Javon Bullard's banged up. He was in a walking boot, but for what it's worth, he did say if there was a game to be played, he'd be playing. I think maybe a little cautious here. Outside the safeties, you look at this cornerback group, and it's like, oh, Jonathan Gannon, we got to see that creativity, man. We got to see what you can do with this group. That three safety approach might be beneficial to help with the coverage. I ain't feeling great. I don't want to overreact too much from just practice stuff, but seeing, Matthew Golden and some of these other guys just torch Keyshawn. And good on Matthew Golden. Seems like he has had a heck of a training camp so far. but I don't feel the greatest about it. What are you going to be kind of really looking for, paying attention to, following along with the first training camp game, or preseason game, excuse me, coming our way tomorrow? I'm looking at the corners. I'm looking at the offensive line depth. Those are probably my top two, to be honest with you. All right. We got a few minutes left to the top of the hour. Continue to send me how concerned are you with what the Brewers are? Our good buddy Mark says that guy that looks like a lumberjack in a Brewer uniform on the mound today is going to get us back on track. He fits Brewers, doesn't he, Dustin May? If you were to Bob Ross paint a Brewers player, pitcher, I feel like that would be kind of the image that you'd come up with. Kind of, sort of. But a few of you still, it's probably about 5.5. Probably about 5.5 on a scale of 1 to 10 on how concerned you are for the Brewers team. Josh Jacobs, to ask your question, Bo, he's been dealing with a groin injury. That's why he's been out of practice here. So, knock on wood, Marshawn Lloyd. That's the question, too, is like, okay, preseason game number 1, how much do you play Marshawn Lloyd? Do you try to continue to preserve him just in case? Or do you try to get him some reps because you still don't know what you got with the guy? That's the balance. All right. Keep those thoughts coming, all right? And let me know, too, what are you going to be watching for in preseason game number 1? Don't forget, it is a Wednesday. It's a what-if Wednesday, so give me some good what-if scenarios, all right? Give me some good sports what-if scenarios. Also, what are we doing here Wednesday? Have some fun with this one, okay? What are we doing here? What are we doing here with this? What are we doing here with that? What's a sports story out there that you'd say, dude, what are we doing? Have fun with this one, all right? Let's have some fun with that. So continue to send those on over. We'll get to some more of your thoughts. Let's wrap up the first hour with Morgan. Good morning, Morgan.
Hey, thanks for the Man Cave mug. I felt pretty special when I walked into the newsroom and it was on my desk. Yeah. And then I took a rounds around the office and realized that there's one on everyone's desk.
No, there isn't.
Would you pick and choose like a kid who brings cupcakes for everyone in the class?
I know. I know how to do this.
Okay. So then there are select few people that didn't get a Man Cave mug. Okay.
Correct. Ones who wouldn't appreciate it and then just doing some sucking up. So
I really like them. They look sharp. So thanks for that. Okay, Wednesday wildcard time. That's where we get to dig into the pile of rando questions, and you answer one for us. Pick a number between 1 and 35.
32.
Have you ever had a premonition about something that came true?
No.
Never?
Nope.
No dreams that indicate, no feelings, no spidey vibes?
Nope.
Do you believe in that kind of stuff?
Maybe about 30% of it.
Okay, so like...
It depends on how much Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries can convince me.
Or the fog machine?
Yeah.
True or false, you would visit a psychic?
I've thought about this.
Okay. Share with the class.
I've thought about this.
I know you have. So does the psychic.
I'm intrigued with it.
Okay.
I'm intrigued with it, but I'd want to go in very guarded to really test them. You know what I mean?
Oh, you would. You would set up the questions and like you would basically quiz them. You would make them, pass fail type of thing.
Right. Don't be so generic. Be like,
you'll experience a change soon.
Yeah, that's crap. No.
Okay, so what is there a specific a specific question you would ask a psychic? If you could get not like lottery numbers,
no,
but like an actual Dan Kasper.
What happens when we
specific?
Die?
That's not a psychic question.
is.
That's it's like the
Are we
philosophical
talking
question.
like psychic, like somebody's trying to contact you?
No. Let's do
okay.
psychic like they can. Let's say you have a question about your life or a question you're struggling with or a peek into the future.
Then that type of psychic, no, I don't have any interest in.
But maybe like the other side you're into.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
What about a smell that brings back a vivid memory for you?
Probably, well, I've got a few favorite smells.
Okay.
Charcoal grill on a fall day.
Nothing like it, especially if it's tailgating.
Yep. 'Cause it
Yeah,
gives me
that's like a
back
whole energy.
Lambeau Field vibes.
Yep.
Leaves, because it's bow hunting season.
The crunch of them,
Yep, that too.
especially
But
the
just
squirrels
when
that
it's
have
like
your
a
head
little
whipping
wet
around.
too, and that leaf smell.
Okay.
Fresh cut grass, because it reminds me of the golf course.
Okay.
So, yeah.
1 to
One
35. Okay.
One more.
Okay, we
Pick
can
the
do
number.
this. How about a quality you're drawn to that you don't possess? You can think about it. Like, for example, like I'm not a spontaneous person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like surprises. My nightmare would be walking into a surprise party, but other people love that kind of stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
wish I was more like that, but I'm just not. What about you?
Somebody that is probably not so wound up.
Yeah, you're wound pretty tight, buddy.
Yeah.
So you need
do.
to be like more easygoing, go with the flow.
All right, here we go. Second hour kicks off right now on this Wednesday morning of August 12th. Thanks for hanging out with us here this morning and making us a part of your start. We'll continue to talk some more Packers here in just a skosh as we get set for preseason game numero uno tomorrow, as the Pack will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers or Green Bay East tomorrow night. Preseason game number 1. We spent a big portion of the first hour chatting some Brewers baseball as the Brewers falling yesterday to the Pods, 11-2. Brewers will try to avoid being swept later today. Dustin May is going to go in on the mound for his second start as a Brewers pitcher. 3:10 first pitch. You can listen to that game again on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Coverage will begin about 35 minutes prior. On a scale of 1 to 10, Brewers fans, where are you at on the sweat scale or the pressure scale, nervous scale, whatever the heck we want to call this thing? We should come up with a good name for this scale. But on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at on this? Are you starting to get a little nervous, considering injuries, Cubbies playing well, schedules for both Brewers and Cubs? Brewers just up 4 on the Cubs. And they got the Dodgers after the Padres today. Are you starting to get a little nervous? We're at about a 5.5. Maybe a little closer to 6 now with where some Brewers fans are at in terms of where they're nervous and how much they're nervous. So don't forget, it is a What If Wednesday. So give me a fun sports what if. Also give me a fun sports, what are we doing here? Like if there's a sports story or news thing out there where you're just like, what are we doing here? I know it was yesterday, but let's have a little fun with this, okay? So I posted it up on my Facebook page. Don't forget, you can go follow at facebook.com//Dan Kasper Sports. Yesterday, the Packers turned 107 years young. A $107. 107. So I posted 3 questions, and you could go comment on it. A lot of you did. Or you can just send them on over if you want, whatever works best for you, whatever you want to do, okay? 3 questions. Who is your favorite Packer person? It could be a player. It could be a coach. It could be a general manager. Doesn't just have to be player. Number 2, your favorite memory. And then number 3, all right, the tough one, the best player. Some of the responses on my Facebook, we got Surveyor Sam saying tie between Donald Driver and Aaron Jones for their favorite Packer person. Favorite memory, Packers Steelers Super Bowl, watching hundreds of people pour out of the bars and restaurants in downtown Hudson just to flip off Minnesota across the river. Number 3, Rodgers for best player in its history. Andy says Leroy Butler, William Henderson for his favorite. Aaron Rodgers to Cobb versus the Bears. Bart Starr. Lance says his favorite was Charles Woodson. Favorite memory, my first Packers game, which was the last they had ever played at County Stadium in Milwaukee. Brett won the game on a dive into the end zone. Unfortunately, Sterling got hurt in that game. He returns to the field 1 or 2 games later, only to get injured further, which ended his career. Favre changed the Packers forever for best Packer player. Terry says favorite player was Rodgers. Comeback win against the Saints, early 90s by Favre, got me to pay attention to football at a young age. And then best player, Bart Starr. Jenny says their favorite player was Walter Stanley. Favorite memory, Thanksgiving Day, 1986. See the answer to number 1 if you know. If you know, you know. Number 3, Brett Favre for best player. Brian says Favre was his favorite player. Super Bowl 31 favorite memory. In my lifetime, Favre was the best. Overall, Don Hudson. Paul says Gilbert Brown. Super Bowl 31, Brett Favre. Kyle, Reggie White. My first game I attended, Christmas Eve versus the Bucks 2000 and Aaron Rodgers. Steve says Reggie White. Being at the Mud Bowl in person, Rodgers. And so those are just a few. Not going to go through all of them, but you could go to my Facebook page and chime in if you'd like on that. Surprise resident Packers fan C-Bomb didn't answer that one. Oh, excuse me, I had to sneeze. Speaking of C-Bomb, he just chimed in and said sweat scale. Should we call it the sweat scale? And I kind of like that, the sweat scale, where you're starting to get nervous. 7.5. And has sat there since the Dodgers got Scooble. I'm not going to worry about a down-the-road series. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in a 162-game season. Okay. I think to answer, going back to the football thing, I think to answer my questions, my favorite Packers person, it's Don Hudson. Honorable mentions, I've got many. I'm going to throw a Lombardi in there. I got to throw Favre in there. I got to throw Rodgers in there. I got to throw Driver in there. I got to throw White. And I got to throw Aaron Jones. Robert Brooks. Those are all my honorable mentions. Favorite memories, tough. Super Bowl 45 was awesome, just being able to watch it I was 22 out on my own, watch it with friends, having people over at my place. I still remember watching Super Bowl 31. I think another memory, it was in 5th grade leading up to Super Bowl 31. Our teacher threw a contest, how many Packer players could you name in 1 minute? And I won that by listing first and last name, writing down 20-some Packers players on that Super Bowl 31 team. So that's a favorite memory because it's a bragging right that I had in middle school. First game, of course, going to my first game with Hudson. Yeah, there's a lot of good memories. Best player, come on, it's DH. It's the Hudson. It's Don Hudson. The dude still doesn't get enough respect, for crying out loud. I don't want to hear anything about eras. No, you gotta look at it at the era they played, and the dude was absolutely dominating. I remember this one too. C-Bomb chiming in. Says favorite memory for me was when Yancey Thigpen dropped a touchdown that allowed the Packers in the playoffs. This was in the 90s when the Packers were coming out of the cellar. Wasn't that Christmas Eve? Correct me if I'm wrong, C-Bob. Wasn't that Christmas Eve? Because I remember I was at a Christmas Eve party as a youngster, and everybody was watching it. We were all watching on TV, and I remember that drop. And just the house going nuts and crazy. I think that was Christmas Eve, or it was around Christmas because it was a Christmas get-together. Also says Brett Favre's my favorite Packer, but I've had several favorites in my lifetime. Paul Kaufman, Tim Harris, and his six shooters, Charles Woodson, Sterling Sharp. My fandom was formed when the Packers were awful, and it has been awesome to have 3 decades of competitive football with championship aspirations. Josh says Favre by far is my favorite. Favorite Packer memory is going to my first Packer game at 15 with my dad and watching the Packers hold Barry Sanders to get negative yards. C-Bomb says, correct. I was at my mom's for Christmas that night. So, okay, it was Christmas. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, I remember watching it. It was on a little TV in somebody's man cave downstairs at a Christmas Eve. I think Christmas get-together. I remember watching that. Oh, yeah. Yep. What are some of my earlier favorites? Oh, there's so many, isn't there? 107 years young, your Green Bay Packers yesterday. They don't look a day over 21. Right? Right. So what are you looking for tomorrow? What are you paying attention to? Or what are some of the players or position groups that you are going to be watching for this game tomorrow against the Steelers? And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of you say, it doesn't matter, it's preseason. Okay, I get it. But I got to tell you, I need something to be excited about with the corners. And this is the tough thing when it comes to preseason too, is because, okay, we know these teams aren't game planning, right? They're not going to open up their playbooks. They're not going to do this. They're not going to throw out their creative stuff. They're not going to go out there and it's going to be pretty vanilla. It's going to be pretty blah. But I think how I approach this when it comes to preseason games, can the guy win their one-on-ones? Are they doing their jobs? Are they making the tackles? Are they making the catch? Are they making the plays? Are they holding their blocks? Are they able to get after. You kind of have to look at it from an individual standpoint here, because there's not going to be any scheming going on. There's not going to be any of that. So you look at, can they win their one-on-ones? Are they doing their jobs? Are they winning their assignments? That's how I approach this. That's how I approach preseason games. From an offensive line standpoint, okay, is that guy doing his job? Is he opening up lanes in the running game? Is he holding his own in pass blocking, protecting the quarterback? From a cornerback standpoint, is he doing his job in coverage? Is he not getting burned? What's the communication like in the back end? Are they making tackles? Are they, or are they missing a bunch of tackles if they're the linebacker or defensive line? Is the defensive line able to generate some pressure and win their one-on-ones? So there's a lot that I still look at when it comes to these preseason games. And a lot of it is one-on-one stuff. 1v1. So is there a certain position group? Is there a certain group of players or player that you're going to be paying attention to? And it sounds like Jordan Love and some of the starters are going to be out there. How long would you play Jordan Love? How important do you think it is for Jordan Love to get snaps in each of these preseason games? A lot of it might just to kind of depend on the flow of the game. If it's a quick 3 and out, where it's like handoff, maybe they go out there for another step, or maybe we take Matt LaFleur's comments and say it's more about getting mentally prepared for the game, leading up to that game, doing all of those other things like prepare for it, the pregame warm-ups, and then go in there, get in the huddle, just do 3 straight handoffs. All right, your day's done. And that just might be the case for Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. But if you were Matt LaFleur, how are you approaching game 1 with your starters? Let me know. All right? Let me know. Let's take a quick break. We'll talk some more football. Don't forget, though, send me some what ifs. Send me some what are we doing here? All that good stuff. We'll take a quick break and be back in just a few minutes. When you're looking for your next vehicle, choose a dealership that knows and cares about the community it serves. Toyson Ford in Chippewa Falls is proud to be locally owned and operated, providing hometown service and a better buying experience for drivers throughout the Chippewa Valley. Whether you're looking for a new Ford, a quality pre-owned vehicle, or trusted service for the vehicle you already own, the team at Toyson Ford is there to help you out. Experience the difference of shopping local. Toyson Ford in Chippewa Falls, your hometown Ford dealer. And speaking of Toyson Ford, best of luck again to the Eau Claire Express tonight. They picked up a 3-1 victory in a win or go home Game 3 against La Crosse last night. The Express will be back at Carson Park tonight, taking on St. Cloud. Winner advances to the championship game. So let's make sure we pack Carson Park and make it a big-time home field advantage for the Express tonight. We'll get back to more baseball talk. Brewers getting set for Game 3 this afternoon against the Padres, trying to avoid the sweep. Got Robbie Ray going for the Padres, Dustin May going for the Brewers. A couple of pitchers with their new squads making their second starts with their new teams. But Packers also getting set for their first preseason game tomorrow, going up against Green Bay East, a.k.a. the Pittsburgh Steelers. Travel day today for Green Bay, so no training camp practice. Matt LaFleur the other day saying that the plan is right now that Jordan Love will play, but that remains to be seen how much he actually will play. Joe, how much are you playing Jordan Love and some of the starters tonight or tomorrow night in preseason game number 1?
Depending on how that first drive goes, 1 series or 2. And so I don't think you keep him in there a long time. I think you get him to get into that feel for the game, get him into the pregame routine, get those starters in there. Hopefully, again, ideally, you get a good drive, everyone's healthy, you pull them. So it really does depend on what happens in that first drive. I like this. I personally think that this is the right move by LaFleur. I think, again, it's always that fine line between getting guys ready and protecting them from injury. And so, again, I like this move. I think this is an aggressive move. And I think this dovetails with what LaFleur has been looking to do this whole off season, and that's being aggressive. And I think they need to do this. So I'm excited to see the starters out there again. I don't think it's going to be long. Here's hoping for that first drive being successful, no injuries, and then get them off the field.
Going back to Friday night, family night, it was maybe for a lot of fans and people to kind of witness the first time what this team is looking like. And, you know, one player that, didn't have the greatest night and really maybe hasn't had the greatest training camp so far is Keyshawn Nixon. I mean, Matthew Golden torched him on a deep play, and then the practice afterwards, he was practicing with the 2s, even for a little bit with the 3s. Yesterday, back with the 1s. But, I mean, how long is that leash on Keyshawn Nixon, do you think, when it comes to this upcoming season? Because I feel like he's still going to open up as a starter, but if he struggles, could you see that leash being kind of, yanked and maybe he's benched and down to the 2s?
Oh, absolutely. I think, again, best player needs to play. And right now, Cisse is turning some heads, and he looks like he definitely belongs. And so, it's best man plays, regardless of tenure. And I think, again, that this is also a message that I think Matt LaFleur can send to some of those starters. And that's, look, you're not guaranteed a spot. You need to come out and compete and perform because you're not guaranteed a spot. And I think, again, we talked about this this whole off season. That I think, the seat's a little warmer for LaFleur. Not hot, but I think the seat is a little bit warmer. And I think they're going to do whatever they need to do to put the best 11 out there. And if the best 11 is truly a rookie over somebody like Keyshawn Nixon, I say they have to do that.
Looking at, some of the other, we've been kind of asking, who are the position groups, who are some of the players that you're going to be watching or really kind of paying attention to tomorrow? What are some of those other groups or positions that you maybe are going to be focusing on the most?
I'm looking at the offensive line. I think that's going to be critical. And again, I think some of those linemen are actually going to play a lot longer than that first series. So when I talked about Jordan Love, I think now you're looking at that offensive line. I think they're going to play a while, and I think an offensive line has to. And again, you always talk about the best 5 out there. So that's a position group in particular that I think we need to keep an eye on. And we need to keep an eye, not just the starters, but who comes in first and who comes in where. Because right now, Jordan Morgan doing really well at that left tackle position. Anthony Belton, who is getting more reps at that swing tackle position, not doing well, especially in pass blocking. So that's a group I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to be looking at the rotation on the defensive line because I think that's going to be critical. So it's really the trenches for me at this point of the season. I want to see how the guys up front look. I want to see how this defense looks. And if we are going to see some of the blitz packages that have been reported in camp so far. But I think that's where my area of focus is going to be, is in the trenches, either offensive line or defensive line.
How much do you play Marshawn Lloyd in these preseason games, knowing, one, we haven't seen a lot of him, so it's a little bit of uncertainty, but two, you got to keep that guy healthy. So, I mean, it's kind of a fine line in trying to balance this. How would you approach Marshawn Lloyd with these preseason games?
I think you have to play him. This is a guy who has not had reps, and so I think you have to play him. You have to see him in game conditions. You have to see what you have. It's one thing to see a guy going up, in shells against your own team. It's another thing altogether seeing this guy on the field. So I think 100% he needs to play, and he needs to play a lot in situational football, not just P and 10, not just 1st and 10. He needs to play 3rd down. You need to see what he can do in a blitz pickup. He needs to play 3rd down because you need to see what he can do out of the backfield catching the ball. You need to put him in a position where it's game simulation as much as possible and see how he responds. Because it's not only the physical test of Marshawn Lloyd, it's also the mental test. And I think that's important to really look at from a standpoint of game time situations. Because it's different. Guys in shorts and running around in practice, it is different when the pads go on for real and the lights go on for Thursday Night Football.
How do you approach these preseason games? Like I approach them, because we're not going to see a lot of scheming. We're not going to see a lot of game planning. It's going to be a lot of, vanilla stuff. I kind of approach it like, okay, who's winning their one-on-ones? Who's beating their blocks? Who's making the block? Who's making the plays here? How do you approach preseason football? Because, a lot of fans are like, it's not real football. I don't get geeked up for this thing.
As a fan, I think it's fun to watch. And again, you have to look at it from almost a scouting perspective. But I think as a player, to have that opportunity to actually hit somebody in another jersey, I think it's great. I don't care what level you're at. I don't care if it's high school football with that first scrimmage. I don't care if it's youth football when you get a chance to pop pads against another team. I think it's critical to go out and show. So as a fan, you have to look at it almost – I'm going to look at it for this. I'm going to watch this game because I want to see, Jordan Love. I'm going to look at this game because I want to see how Brandon Cisse does. You can't look at this game in a real – like, okay, win or loss, I'm riding or dying with my team. I think you have to look at it differently. But the bottom line is, for a player, for a coach, when you get a chance to pop pads against someone else, that's the best feeling. You have worked your butt off this offseason for an opportunity to finally go out and hit somebody on the other team, hit somebody with another jersey. So, it's exciting, and I think it's good. And I think, again, you come out of this game, you want to see some things, you want to stay healthy, and you want to move on to the next week.
Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated, he's been doing a training camp kind of tour, and he was just recently with Green Bay. And one of the first things he noted in his notebook is one pretty clear thing is that the Packers have a whole lot of balance on offense, but need a guy or two to take a step forward as a difference maker. The most obvious candidate would be Tucker Kraft. but he also mentions Matthew Golden. He said, out of the receiver group with Christian Watson, Jade Reed, and Matthew Golden as the top three, Golden has the best shot at breaking through. Would you agree that they need that quote-unquote difference maker within this offense, even if they are pretty balanced, at least on paper it looks like they're balanced?
100%. 100%. And you're not going to see Tucker Kraft out there. So again, I think coming up to that Pittsburgh game last year, you started to see what this offense could look like with Tucker Kraft. Matthew Golden's a key. I think the reason that Dobbs moved on and Wicks moved on is to clear space and clear time for Matthew Golden. So I think this kid is the real deal. He reminds me a little bit of a faster version of a Reggie Wayne. And by that I mean he's a little bit smaller, so he's not this freak of nature that Christian Watson is. He's not 6'4", 200 pounds and runs a 4.3, but this guy is fast, and this guy is strong. And I think one thing that's impressed me, at least in what I've seen so far, is his route running ability and his hands. So, yeah, I 100% agree that someone out of that group needs to separate themselves and do it on a consistent basis, because Jaden Reed has done it in flashes, but I don't think he's done it consistently. And again, I think Matthew Golden is going to be one of those coffee stir sticks that stirs the drink. And I think he is going to be critical. And I think that's, again, why Green Bay made the move this offseason they did.
Last question here for you before we let you go. We've been seeing a little bit more, hearing a little bit more about Jonathan Gannon. I mean, he's been a little bit more, I think, emotional. I mean, hyping up his defense at practice. What have been kind of your early glimpses, early thoughts on the Jonathan Gannon era with Green Bay?
It's exciting. It's exciting. And again, we'll see what happens when there's another opponent, but it's exciting to hear what's happening and to hear the fact that these different blitz combinations and these different blitz packages. And of course, Green Bay plays Minnesota game 1, and they're going to see a plethora, a potpourri, if you will, of blitzes coming from that Minnesota defense. And so, again, it's exciting to hear it, but it's hard to execute. So you talk about corner blitzes, and you talk about safety blitzes, and you talk about these blitzes coming, but if the quarterback hits the ball out and hits the hot read, you're screwed. And so it's exciting to hear. This is not an easy defense to execute, though. So, I'm excited to at this point. It's like one of those things that you come down Christmas morning, you see all these presents, and you're excited about all these presents. But when you get down to it and open it up, that's when you really get excited. And I think we're not going to really know that until game 1 against Minnesota. So everything I'm seeing, everything I'm hearing, it's the right vibe, it's the right feeling. True test is on the field come September.
Yeah, I know Minnesota just across the board named Kyler Murray their starter. And, I mean, week 1, Jonathan Gannon's going to prepare for a quarterback that he was the head coach of for the last couple of years. So I know we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. But I know the big topic conversation is going to be who has the advantage, Kyler Murray knowing Jonathan Gannon or Jonathan Gannon knowing Kyler Murray in that essence.
Yeah, it brings more intrigue to a big game to start the year. And again, I don't think Kyler Murray's that great of a quarterback. So, again, I just have never been a big believer in him. So look, Gannon's going to bring some different things. Kyler Murray is who he is. He's not going to be a 6'4" quarterback all of a sudden on that Sunday. Gannon, though, can bring different things to the table. So I think that's the cool part, is Gannon can bring some things that Kyler Murray hasn't seen. I think Kyler Murray can't bring things that Gannon hasn't seen. So right now I give the edge to Gannon in that matchup. But again, it remains to be seen, and we'll see what happens come that Sunday.
Mm-hmm. He's Joe DeGuano joining us, chatting some football. Joe, appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the preseason game number 1 tomorrow, and we'll recap it and preview game 2 next week when you're on, sir.
All right, brother. Take care. And it is football season, and it's time to get excited, man. So super excited, and the boys of fall are happening. So, Dan, have a great one. And also, great golf outing last week. Really good time. Appreciate it, brother. Take care, man.
You too. Appreciate the kind words, Joe. There he is, Joe DeGuano, joining us here this morning. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back after these few words. When your vehicle needs attention, make it easy on yourself. Trust the team at AJM Automotive in Eau Claire. With 2 convenient locations, AJM Automotive makes taking care of your car, truck, or SUV super simple. Need service? Scheduling an appointment is quick and easy. Just visit ajmautomotiveservices.com and book online when it works for you. And if the unexpected happens and you're stuck on the side of the road, AJM's Towing Services is there to help get you and your vehicle where you need to go. From routine maintenance to unexpected repairs, AJM Automotive Services is your local partner for honest, dependable auto care. 2 locations, easy online scheduling, trusted service when you need it the most. AJM Automotive Services, keeping you moving. All right. So we've got, again, Brewers back at it this afternoon, trying to avoid the sweep at the hands of the San Diego Padres. You got Dustin May on the mound for the Brew Crew. You got Robbie Ray going for the Padres, 2 pitchers who were acquired by their respective teams by the trade deadline. We've been asking all morning long, how concerned are you, the sweat scale, if you will, with where the Brewers are at this point? They're dealing with some injuries. They got a tough portion of their schedule. They're wrapping up with the Padres, a better Padres team now. You got the Dodgers starting tomorrow. The Cubs are just 4 games back. They're playing good baseball. Cubs schedule easier. On a sweat scale, how much you sweat? How much you nervous? I'd say the average has been up to a 6. It started off, if we kind of averaged all the messages out, it's been about a 5. Then it moved up to a 5.5. I would say if I was kind of mathing it in my own head, it's probably up to a 6 based off these averages. How about for those that didn't chime in, where are you at on that scale? Yeah, I'm probably 5.5, 6 too. I'll be honest. I mean, when you factor in everything, and I'm not saying that it's going to be collapse or Brewers aren't making the postseason or nothing like that, but at this current point in time, when you factor in everything, we're sitting here August 12th. We're nearly to the final quarter of the regular season. We're about 74% of the way. So we're almost there. But you look at everything at this point in time. Brewers are dealing with some injuries, specifically 2 position players, where you've got Andrew Vaughn getting a start at third. You got Bryce Terang starting at short. Not saying Bryce Terang can't do it, but you're kind of plugging in different spots to just keep your head above water. So you're dealing with that. Your offensive players like a Contreras, a Yelich, they've been struggling to get going from the plate here. You factor that in. You factor in that the Cubs are playing better. You factor in the schedule. Yeah, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous. And I think it's okay to be. I'm not pushing the panic button, but yeah, I'm sweating a little bit, and I'm kind of looking behind my shoulder. I'm kind of peeking at the standings, doing a little scoreboard watching, and being like, okay, Nationals, help us out here. Let's get a couple wins now against the Cubbies. Okay, Cardinals. I know Brewers fans, it pains us, doesn't feel right to cheer on the Cardinals, but you got the Cardinals going up against the Cubs after the Cubs finish up their series with the Nationals. It's like you got to root for the Cardinals in this one. Need a little help just to get through this, injury spell. Kyle Harrison did not have a good night last night. 8 earned runs. But Kyle Harrison has done more good than bad this year, so I'm confident at this point that he's going to bounce back and have a better performance in his next start. Not every pitcher is going to go out there and absolutely shell and dominate in every single one of his starts. Pitchers are going to have off nights. Control's just not there. The command's just not there. It's going to happen. And I look at the overall sample size from what we've seen so far from Kyle Harrison this year, and I'm like, okay, I feel like he's going to bounce back. But with the injuries to the offense and the lack of production from guys like Contreras as of late, or a Yelly, it puts a ton more pressure, a lot more pressure on these pitchers. And when you look at the upcoming matchups, so we know Dustin May, Robbie Ray today. Don't overlook this game. I mean, the Brewers can't overlook this game. Don't get swept. Take care of business game one. Keep up with your mindset. Keep up with your approach that Pat Murphy has been preaching ever since he has been manager. One game at a time. Win tonight. Do that. Then we can focus on, okay, this Dodger series, which we know the pitching matchups for this one. You got Shane Drowan going up against Sasaki in game one. Robert Gasser, he's getting the game two start. Yamamoto's getting that start across the way. We're not going to get Tarek Skubal versus Mizorowski, if anybody's wondering. It's going to be Mizorowski versus Robleski. And then Logan Henderson versus Tarek Skubal. That is an intriguing matchup in itself, not just because it's game 4 of that series, but because, well, if the Brewers, by all reports and rumors, if they would have included Logan Henderson in the deal, Logan Henderson could be pitching for the Detroit Tigers right now, and Skubal might be pitching for the Brewers. So that's just a fun matchup storyline looking at game 4. We got a few days until that, but it's, if you're Logan Henderson, you're probably, I mean, let's face it, we're all human too, but he's an athlete. Anybody who's played, I don't care at what level, you get amped up for certain games, certain starts, certain opponents. And if you're Logan Henderson, that's the fine line, like, okay, Brewers decide to keep me instead of maybe acquiring Skubal. I want to go out there and prove that the Brewers made the right choice. So you're going to get a little amped up. You might be a little motivated, but at the same time, it's that fine line, like, don't get too wound up. Don't get too motivated. So where you lose control, and then you're not that pitcher, that good pitcher that we have seen all season long. But it's a fun storyline heading into that game 4, isn't it? Whew. But we'll have plenty of time to preview that series. Let's focus on tonight. Get that game 1. Game 1 victory against the Padres this afternoon. All right, we got to take our final break for this second hour. Running a little behind, but that's okay. Coming up at 8 o'clock, we'll catch up with Ty from Slab Factory. So that'll kick off the third quarter on this Wednesday morning. But a quick break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes to wrap up hour 2 Nobody plans for an accident, but when the unexpected happens, you want a team that you can trust. And at Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, they are proud to be locally owned and operated, providing quality collision repair and hometown service to drivers throughout the Chippewa Valley. Their experienced team takes pride in every repair, treating your vehicle with the same care and attention that they would give their own. When you need collision repair that you can count on, choose the people who live and work right here in your community. Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, locally owned, locally trusted, and here to get you back on the road. Hey, also want to mention too, since we just wrapped up our golf outing to help support Backyard Dreams. If you know of anybody that could use, or a team, an athlete, a kiddo, or anybody that could use the help for Backyard Dreams, please reach out. All right, just visit our website, hit us up with an email, shoot me a message, whatever works for you. We want to help. All right, so please reach out. If Backyard Dreams can maybe help, kiddo get some football cleats if they can't afford football cleats for the upcoming season, or soccer stuff, basketball, whatever it may, baseball, whatever it may be, or to go to a camp. Reach out. That's what Backyard Dreams is all about. So you can send me a message, hit me up with an email, or just go to our website and shoot us a message through there. So let Backyard Dreams, Superior Auto Body, our official Backyard Dreams partner too. So let's help out. Okay. We just got a couple minutes left at the top of the hour, so we're going to kick off the third hour chatting with Ty from Slab Factory. Slab Factory just had their Packs and Pints show event this past Sunday, so we'll hit that up. And then we got some more baseball talk as we get set for Brewers-Padres Game 3 of this series. On that sweat scale, Zach says on the video stream, he's a solid 6 on a scale of 1 to 10. Where are you at? He's at a 6. That's pretty much where the average is at. So we'll talk some more baseball. We'll talk some more football. Hey, we got more preseason games. Everybody's favorite football team is going to be in action for this week. So I know we already had the Hall of Fame game, but now everybody's going to be in action. So we'll dabble into that a little bit more. Continue to send me some fun what ifs. And what are we doing here? I threw out that question. Yesterday was the Packers' birthday, 107 years young. I threw out the 3 options: favorite player, your favorite memory, your opinion on who you think the best Packer player is. Let me throw one more at you. Okay, let me throw one more fun one at you. And you can go on my Facebook page and comment on there. You can hit me up with a text. The most underrated. The guy that maybe isn't a Packer Hall of Famer, or maybe he is, or just, most underrated Packer. The guy that doesn't get enough attention. The guy that doesn't get enough love. That could be a personal favor, or you just think, dude was better than what people give him credit for. Let's have a little fun on this 107th birthday for the green and gold. Because I was watching some clips. I'm like, dang, I forgot about, like Preston, the returner. It's like, geez, forgot about him. He was pretty darn solid for a hot minute. All right, 2 in, 2 more to go. Halftime. We got news updates. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hour 3 already kicking off on this Wednesday morning of August 12th. Thanks for hanging out with us all morning long. All of you on the video stream talking back and forth. That's good to see. The Section 105 is up and rolling. To all of you hitting us up with some texts, appreciate that on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line. I'll get back to some more of those as we continue to chat some Brewers as we get set for Game 3 this afternoon. A little Packers preseason action as well. So we'll get back to that conversation here, but it is Wednesday, which is one of my favorite days of the week because it usually means that we get to talk with Ty from Slab Factory, who is off of the first annual, I know that bugs people when I say it, but I like saying it, first ever Packs and Pints at the Brewing Project this Sunday. I was talking a little bit off the air with you. When we were there for a while, it seemed like a really good success, a lot of constant, action with people flowing in. It was cool to see a lot of kids bringing their binders and carrying. When we pulled in the parking lot, I seen a couple kids. There was actually one really old school looking binder, which was kind of cool to see. Yeah. But it was great to see all those kids in action. It was adults, kids, whatever it may be. How did the event go overall from your point of view?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you. Like, it was so fun. We had a great time. Our team had an awesome time. The main goal of this show, because there's a lot of card shows out there, and I'm not saying we even did anything that unique, but the main goal of this show was like get kids there, get kids feeling comfortable around the hobby. That was really what we wanted. And we saw so many more kids than we even thought we'd see. I mean, we also had at the card shop, we see plenty of kids come in, obviously. But, our main demographic of people buying and selling cards is like 20 to 35 probably, in terms of age group. And but it was so many more kids that we had not seen at the shop before, so many families, folks who learned either about us for the first time or were just getting more comfortable. And we were able to have a lot of great conversations with those folks and help them feel a little bit more comfortable around the collecting hobby. And it certainly reached our expectations and exceeded them for sure. There
was a couple things that I really liked about what you guys did. One, the bingo card to get the kids active and interactive with other booths, and that was really cool. I also like seeing some of your guys' personal collections that were on the tables. Yeah, and, that was cool. Hudson was eyeing up the Cheerio rainbow that you had over there, but seeing some of that was kind of cool too, just to see, okay, these are the guys at Slab Factory, and this is their PCs, this is their personal collections too. Yeah, and it was fun for the guys too, because for example, CJ, our resident Pokemon expert, our manager over there, he was like, this collection hasn't seen the light of day. Like it, normally sits in the display case in his basement. So he was excited to have it out there too, and. We wanted to show off that we're collectors too, and Jordan from the shop has an unbelievable Badgers collection. He had so many cool, which by the way, he's trying to add some more Melvin Gordons this week. A guy walked into the Madison store this week with a bunch of Melvin Gordon one-of-ones. So nice. Yeah, he said he's working for free this week. No, but the. Between his Badger stuff, Joey from the shop has a really incredible Timberwolves collection. And then I had some of my Brewers stuff out, some of my Bucks stuff out, and CJ with his Pokemon. Yeah, we wanted to display our personal collections as well to help people understand, this is what we're doing too. This is how we got started. A lot of the cards in those cases were things that we all had before Slab Factory even existed. But yeah, and the bingo card, shout out Joey, great job. Joey's a marketing student at UW Eau Claire and works for the shop, and he's been kind of doing some marketing stuff for us. This was his idea, and he did a great job executing it. A great bingo card that had kids going from booth to booth, answering questions and asking them to take pictures with them or open a pack with them or do a trade with them. I thought that went, it was great. It was what we hoped, and so much so that we do intend on doing one in the winter. So we're going to do one probably just in the winter and summer every year is kind of what we're looking at. That was awesome, especially for my kid who's really quiet, to actually get him to go out there and he's not the biggest Pokemon he used to be, but he's like, because I'm like, I don't know if you're going to find, like a Pikachu. It's like, Dad, there's one right over there. And he pointed out the box and all that stuff. So that was really cool. So
he knows what he's talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was really fun. And thanks for coming out. You had the whole family out. It was great to see.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, speaking of PC, you want to show off what you got? Because I'm a little jealous of this right now.
So we talked about this back when this product released.
Yep.
I had not owned one of these yet until just recently here. And I did grab a Matthew Golden Tech Mobile.
Yeah.
This card, this one in particular, probably not one that I would send off to get graded because a little whitening on the back right corner, but something that'll just kind of keep in the personal collection. I think Matthew Golden's set to have a big year, personally.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people are feeling the same way about him right now.
Right. So, I mean, with that too, and I know you've kind of talked about too, is it kind of almost like a stock market sort of thing with some players rising and you kind of, maybe purchase with the expectation that the prices are going to be good or the value is going to be good?
Yeah, I play that game less and less because, well, for what it's worth, I mean, I would dive too deep into that with basketball early in my collecting days. I'd be right about a guy, but it wouldn't necessarily affect his market that much unless he's a superstar, right?
Yeah.
So like if you were somebody who, back in the early days of Giannis Antetokounmpo, his cards were pretty cheap when he came out and you did pretty well if you collected him then.
Yeah.
It's hard to find those superstars that did not come into the league as superstars, right? Those are hard to find. Now you can find players that are selling beneath their station, but some of these guys don't ever become like a superstar, and that's really where the market shift is. So that said, Matthew Golden right now, while not super cheap because like he still was a first round pick and like he's got hype surrounding him, his stuff is pretty cheap after a down year last year. Like his stuff is cheaper than Luther Burden's stuff right now. And I wouldn't be remotely surprised if Matthew Golden has a better season than Luther Burden. Buying Matthew Golden right now is certainly not a bad idea if you believe in him as a Packer this year.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. I got to ask this too, because I saw this last week and I think this is speaking of, it kind of relates to that, but did you see the Rushmore inserts from Top Baseball?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
What are your thoughts on that?
What did you think of them?
I thought they looked cool. Yeah. Because in sports we always talk about like Mount Rushmores, right? And the fact that I saw the Braves one. I think was the first.
The Braves one is the one I saw too. That's what Topps posted, and I'll tell you, you probably gravitate toward that as a sports radio. Like that is a great sports
history
radio
sort of
topic, right? Like what's the Mount Rushmore of blank? All I saw in the comments was Acuna on the Mount Rushmore Braves. Like, no way. Like, stuff like that.
Part.
It's the debate, which actually that's what they're doing, right? I think it's fun. I think it's really fun. I think like having the debate is always fun. And so cards that spark the debate. Yeah, sure. Why not? Like, I don't remember who exactly was on it. Was it like Chipper, Smoltz?
Hank Aaron, Ronald Acuna.
Okay. Was it Smoltz? Yeah.
Or Maddox.
Oh, Maddox.
Yep.
Maddox. So not Smoltz. Yeah, I mean, like it's it's all era based, right?
Yep.
Like
that's why I was reading
you really
some of the
can't
comments.
argue Hank Aaron, and you probably can't argue Chipper Jones. And I feel like after that, like I know that Maddox obviously was incredible, but you could make some arguments for
Eddie
a few
Matthews
different guys.
or-
Yeah, Eddie Matthews probably should have been up there.
Yeah. But it's kind of a cool looking card.
And that's coming out in the what is that coming out in? Topps. I can't remember the next product that's out. I think it's the flagship update, like the regular update. I'd have to double check, but that looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Topps Pristine Baseball. Inserts in Topps Pristine
That's
Baseball.
in Pristine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Actually, I like Pristine a lot. Pristine is a hobby only product.
Okay.
But the cards will trickle in as singles, so there will certainly, we'll see those Mount Rushmores for sure.
Right. One question I wanted to ask you, because once in a while when I'm scrolling on social media, I'll see like somebody opening up packs from back in the day. And there was one guy said he bought this from the Nationals like in 96 or 2000 Upper Deck basketball. And he spent like $20 on the pack.
Yeah.
I mean, is that pretty normal with those prices of like, 20, 30 years ago with some of those packs to be worth? And, maybe just chasing rookie cards at that point?
Yeah,
or?
you're probably just chasing rookies from whatever class that is, right? And like, what's interesting too is that it really rarely pays off because a lot of these, I mean, what you're hoping for in these situations when you're opening an old pack, I mean, unless you're talking about like a 86 Fleer pack or something, whatever. But like, for example, I opened up some Top Stadium Club from 1998 basketball. I found it for a good price, but like, let's say hypothetically that pack is worth like, oh, you know what? Actually, I have a better example. There's like an upper deck set from Kobe's rookie year that's not particularly popular. Kobe's rookie in that set is just like a headshot portrait of him that the card raw is like $30 to $50. You're chasing Kobe and it's like a $15 to $20 pack. So the upside is really not there unless what they're looking for is a pack fresh pull where the card is clean and centered enough to potentially get a PSA 10. That's what they're really looking for.
Gotcha.
So like, or they just want to experience pulling a Kobe rookie. That's kind of my thought.
I think I can picture the Kobe card you're talking about too.
Yeah, he's almost wearing like a fur jacket and like sunglasses. Yeah, it's a pretty common one.
So there was also a story that I saw because this was, I've been seeing, the Cooper Flags, 1/1 NBA debut patch autograph just been pulled in Rhode Island. And then I saw another one that it was the Olympic one was it LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry is still like out there?
Still out there. Like, yeah, there's a handful of big hits still out there. That's actually kind of a fun topic. Like the Steph Curry rookie superfractor. Still out there.
Really? Wow.
Yep. So like
somebody's
iconic,
just holding onto a box or it's in a pack somewhere.
So there's a lot of theories. A lot of people theorize that maybe that Steph Curry is sitting in someone's collection and they haven't said anything because they are buying up and sitting on all the sealed product or something, right? Maybe they pulled it and then they have now been, they bought up all the sealed product of that year, and now they're selling all those boxes. That's just a theory, right? Obviously. Some people think that maybe someone pulled it and it's just sitting in a closet somewhere, because back then Steph Curry was not, the big name that he is now. Right. And especially if it was like a kid who pulled it, there are plenty of collections out there where a kid pulled a card, they didn't know what they had and they just tossed it away. And, so it could be in a landfill somewhere. It's just, we have absolutely no idea where this card is. You don't see it as much today because today breakers are ripping so much product that, you are seeing most of the hits come out. Like who knows if this is something that, the manufacturers are, making sure doesn't happen through batching, right? We don't know. But I can tell you that kind of thing just does not happen anymore. That said, Tom Brady's Montreal Expos inscribed autograph, 12 of 50, still out there, has not yet been pulled. The superfractor's been pulled, but people are looking for that 12 of 50 because that's the one that he inscribed. I think it says something like, if baseball doesn't work out, there's always football or something like that.
Something like that, yep.
There's also the Luka Doncic Prism Black Finite Rookie 1/1. Still out there. Has not yet been pulled. So there's a lot of those sort of treasures hidden, and there's more, but those are the big ones that pop into my mind.
Interesting. Speaking of which, we got a quick question from a listener, if you're right. So this is from Charles. He's wondering, what would a box of 1989 NFL Draft unopened cards from Score worth roughly, do you think?
I would have to look it up. I can tell you that probably not a ton. I can tell you that like sealed product from that period of time was not. Now 89 Score though, is that Sanders and Aikman?
I think so, yeah.
So maybe a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more, but like, because like, a Barry Sanders PSA 10 does numbers, a Troy Aikman PSA 10 does numbers. So like maybe a little bit more than what I was going to say, but like
Dion, I think
something I'd have to look up. I don't really want to, pop on the phone right now and sit and comp, but I can also always tell Dan after the show.
And I'll let you know, Charles, too.
Yeah.
Maybe that Tony Mandrich card might be where I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there you go. That's what you're looking for. No, and actually, that's a good point. Like it really just, it depends on what the chase is. What's the best card you can hit out of that box, right? Like the and I'm gonna get the euro, but 89 Griffey, like I believe that's Griffey Jr. That's his rookie card. The 89 sets, depending on the set, do pretty well. 88, 90, 91, they don't have that rookie chase. So like that's where you tend to run into like box values and issues there.
You were mentioning a little bit off the air too. Was another topic with Topps?
Yeah, well, just the new Topps update that's been out. I don't know if anybody's been able to find it on the shelves. We couldn't even get our hands on retail this time, at least not early on. We're working on sourcing some, but it's been a very difficult product to get because of the popularity. But Topps Update Basketball has had the debut patches being pulled. You mentioned the Cooper flag was pulled in Rhode Island by a breaker. It's kind of a fun video because these breakers are clearly not like a massive operation, but like the guy who they pulled it for has been breaking with them for years and years, and he immediately called the breaker on the phone after he pulled it. It's pretty cool. But also, like, there are still plenty out there. I think that was the thing I wanted to say the most. Is some people are like, oh, the product's dead. You're telling me that just because, that one card was like, there's a Dylan Harper debut patch out there that has not been pulled yet that's going to go for $500,000 probably. So, like, if you're telling me that means it's no longer worth your time to open the product, then okay, sure, I guess. But, the Cooper flag being pulled is big. It was always going to get pulled within the first couple of weeks. There's just too much product being ripped. It'll probably slow down a little bit, but people are still looking for Dylan Harper. People are still looking for – there's so many cool things you can pull out of that product. The alter egos, the minions are in that product. It's just a very interesting, a very loaded product.
Saw the Juan Soto minion that was I mean, that's because that's going for – or is worth big bucks.
Yeah, I mean, all of those minions are worth. I mean, again, we talked about this after the release of Football Chrome, when that Jaden Daniels Kaiju sold for $13,000, and then the next one sold for like $5,000 or something like that.
Yep.
There's always that first one that's just way too inflated. The first Steph Curry minion, not numbered, so just a regular super short print, sold for $22,000.
Wow.
And I mean, it is super short printed, and people love the minions, and like it's a very unique card. But the next one sold for $13,000 or $12,000, and it's probably only going down from there. So, that post product release hype is really something.
Looking at, because it's so fun to look at, these polls and sometimes watch a break. Do you watch a lot of breaks with people when they do that? Like what does Ty do?
Yeah, I mean, I watch some, but that's usually after like the day of a product release.
Okay.
And it's really more educational for me.
Yeah.
I like to see what comes out. I also like to see what the hit rates look like. I like to see if if I'm watching a case break of a product, how many numbered cards are coming out, how many autographs are coming out, how many case hits are there in each case. I'm trying to learn so that I can inform the customer, right, more than anything else. I can tell you that like in a regular Topps Update hobby box, like only a few numbered cards out of the entire box, usually 3 or 4, and one autograph, and it's pretty tough hit rates. Not phenomenal hit rates, but then, I say that, but a kid pulled a Cooper flag auto from Topps Chrome Update hobby box at the Packs and Pints show.
Wow.
He and his dad were opening product and they bought from us and pulled a Cooper flag.
That's awesome.
Which he had gotten a few hobby boxes at that point.
Yeah.
And so it was and it didn't look good before that. The hit rates are always tough, and that's the nature of overprinting right now.
Tell us a little bit about, because I don't think we've talked a lot about it, but and if you have X/Twitter, make sure you're following Ty at Slab Factory _Ty, your factory stacks, because sometimes when you post stuff on there, like the Shaq one the other night, I'm like, dude, where it's got Diesel written, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
I was like, that's speaking to me.
Yeah, well, that one I reposted. That was a buddy of mine posted that for sale. I honestly was kind of kicking that one around. That's so cool. I love that it was Magic and Lakers.
Yep.
So cool.
Yep.
So on Twitter or X, I still call it Twitter. I still
call it Twitter.
I can't break that. I do what's called stack sales. So hashtag factory stacks is what you're looking for. And what I'm doing is I'm posting cards that are either in the shop or stuff that I sourced outside of the shop, and I'm posting it for sale with a price tag. Over the course of a week, I am running this sale. So this one goes through Sunday. I post the card for sale. I put a price tag. You can either offer on the card in the comment below, or you can take the card at the posted price. If you offer, that offer will probably sit there, and if somebody decides they want to take it full, they can kind of supersede your offer. But if you just take it at full, that card belongs to you. And at the end of the sale, I send you an invoice through our Shopify system, and you pay and we ship and you get the cards. If you do it locally, obviously, come pick them up at the store. You can either pay in store or using that method. But I post, yesterday I did a baseball sale. The day before that was just NBA and NFL. Either today or tomorrow, we're going to post a bunch of low-end cards. And then following that, we're going to do like an NFL 2000s, 2010s. Anybody who's been in the shop lately knows we got a whole bunch of that stuff right now. So I'm going to post some of that stuff. But it helps reach a wider audience. I still have locals that jump in those sales as well. But it's really just reaching a wider audience with some of our stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely some cool cards that you post on there. I'm like, oh, do I do it? Do I do it? Do I do it? Like that Shaq one was like right there.
That
I'm
one
like,
was pretty cool.
It was pretty sweet. So I got to ask, this is from essentially my kid because he keeps talking about it. And we've talked about him for a few times now, but Jesus Made. Is this a guy that's, because you're starting to see, I think, more product of his coming out? And that is
a lot of prospect stuff.
Yeah.
So he's hot, but he's not as hot as some, top prospects can be. Like Connor Griffin was a little hotter when he was the top prospect in baseball, but I think that's because everyone was anticipating the call up.
Right.
Everyone knows that Made is not getting called up this year.
Right.
So I think that honestly, it's not even a terrible time, even with his price tags right now, to buy and then wait for the call up. His stuff will get a lot hotter when that buzz starts, whether that's next year during spring training. I don't know when his call up is expected to be. Some people think it's next year at the beginning of the year. Some people think it's going to be spring, or going to be like a late season call up next year. Some people think that he's not going to be up until 2028. I hope it's next year. I want to see him play in the bigs. He's electric. He's so fun. He's so good. So we'll see.
Cooper Pratt, too, same kind of like now that he's in majors, because this is a guy that, again, my 9-year-old is all about trying to collect, too.
Yeah, so. Hype, then dip on him, because like when you get the call up, the cards go up. When you start playing baseball, and unless you're just destroying the ball every day, the stuff kind of settles a little bit.
Yeah.
But even then, it's still a little bit higher right now because he's playing pretty well, but it's not, nearly as high as it was when the call-up happened. That's always the case. Right now, George Lombard's stuff is through the roof, but that's because he got called up and he's immediately making highlight reel defensive plays, hitting home runs. Like he looks like the complete package, right? So if Made is going to do something like that, then then it's going to work out just fine for him.
One more question from a listener, if you're good. They're just curious, why does it feel like the new product right now is more or worth more than maybe some older cards from back in the day, like a Hank Aaron, et cetera, et cetera?
Some are, some aren't. I've talked about this before, but like rarity is the biggest driver of value when it comes to older cards. But like current hype is usually more powerful because of how many people you're actually reaching who are actually watching the NBA, watching baseball, watching the NFL today, right? So like Shohei Ohtani, you might argue that Hank Aaron was the better player, deserves to be selling for more than Shohei Ohtani. Shohei's playing right now, and he's doing unbelievable stuff. He's in our faces all the time. It makes sense that his stuff is going to sell for more. But the rarest Hank Aaron cards are still selling really well because rarity drives this. So like with older cards, you were printing the heck out of everything. I don't know off the top of my head what a Hank Aaron, rookie PSA 10 does, but like because of when those cards came out, there's not that many PSA 10s because there's not that many that have held up in quality to the point that they would grade a PSA 10. So I would venture a guess that a Hank Aaron rookie PSA 10 is doing some really crazy numbers because it's rare, because you don't see it. Now, just his rookie card in general, there's a bunch of them out there. They're still worth a decent amount. I know they sell pretty well, but yeah, it all comes down to rarity when it comes to these vintage ones. That's why like the Honus Wagner is so big. Honus Wagner isn't necessarily the best baseball player of all time, but it's an iconic card that is rarely found, and you just you can't find them. They're not out there. So yeah.
Dumb question to follow that up and wrap this up. Is there a Babe Ruth Holy Grail card?
Yeah, I mean there's like the is it the Goody? Is that how you say it? Goudey.
Okay.
The Ruth Goody. Hold on, I'm gonna find a picture of that.
Because obviously Honus Wagner played before,
Yeah.
all that. So I was just kind of like, you never hear a whole lot about, or maybe from my perspective, I don't hear a whole lot about a
there's the
Ruth card.
1933.
Okay.
That is quite popular. I'm interested to know what that actually does go for. I don't have anything in front of me. But yeah, they sell for pretty, definitely, they're definitely up there. Looks like the last PSA 9 sold for 1.3 million.
Oh, okay. I got that.
So it does all right. Does all right.
Yeah.
Pocket change.
Right? Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I know it's not fun to do comping radio, but
No, that's
just wanted to find that real quick. Yeah,
Curious.
there's certainly
Okay.
There's a grail for all these guys.
Yeah.
For sure. And they vary in price tag and they, the popularity, but a guy like Hank Aaron certainly has staying power. It's just that it doesn't feel like that because you're not surrounded by his cards at all times. Shohei has a million cards to Hank Aaron's 50 that are worth collecting.
Right. Ty, good stuff as always,
Yeah.
man. Appreciate you stopping
Thanks
by.
for having me.
Congrats on a great event on Sunday.
Thank you. It was very fun. I'm glad you were able to come out and
Yeah.
look for us we do trade nights, look for our postings on social media.
Yep.
Also just feel free to reach out if you have questions about like any potential events that you have thoughts on or ideas that you have. We'd love to hear them. So please don't hesitate to reach out to the shops.
I know we had one of our listeners, Jake from State Farm, asked last week, when is Ty going to be on? I'm going to get my boss to bring his 7 binders of cards in and get an opinion on them. So
always happy to take a look. Just bring them in. Honestly, bring them in anytime to the card shop and just say, I want Tyler to look at them. And when I am free, I will take a look at them. We do that all the time.
So there you go, Jake. You have to bring them down from Bloomer, for that. So,
all right.
But Ty, as always, love this. So
Yeah.
thanks for stopping by, buddy.
Thanks, Dan.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to talk some more baseball coming up after these quick words. Looking for your next great night out? Well, make it the VFW Post 305 in Eau Claire with live music, exciting events happening throughout the month, great food, cold drinks, and a fun, welcoming atmosphere. There's always a reason to stop by. Whether you're meeting up with friends or looking for something fun to do, the VFW Post 305 has something for everyone. And make sure you're following the VFW Post 305 on Facebook to stay up to date on all their latest events and entertainment. Again, a big thanks to Ty from Slab Factory for stopping by and chatting some card collecting with us. You know, one person I'm surprised that doesn't, knowing you, I'm surprised you're not into the card collecting game or used to be.
Yeah, because I definitely was. And I think what's held me off a little bit more, I would never rule it out getting back into it, mind you. It's not like I've changed. No. Because I actually was buying cards again back in, I think it was about the mid-aughts to the early teens or so.
Okay.
I pretty regularly would get a few packs, and that was cool. And then at a certain point, I realized, Luke, you know what you're doing. You open the packs, you look through them, you wrap them up or put them in a stack.
And you forget about them.
Completely.
Yeah.
But, why am I doing this? And so I stopped at that point.
I like opening the packs. It's always kind of fun. I mean, that's what I did as a kid. But now it's like, okay, I'm not all into the game. I'd like to be more than I am. Mm-hmm. It's an expensive game at times.
Can be.
But now I'm looking at, okay, I'm collecting this person. I'll just, kind of buy singles of him or this, that, the other thing. So I just recently did the man cave because I'm always changing crap up in there. With a shelf of my personal favorites up there. They may not be worth a lot, but they're my favorite.
Right.
So,
like the cards that I collected as a kid in the 80s, I'm never giving those away.
Yeah. I've thought about, I have it like all my 90s basketball and football. I've thought about just kind of, what are these worth?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of Karl Malones, Akeem Olajuwons, Jim Kellys. Is there
Right.
anything in this?
Yeah, they're probably, like in my case, probably are as well. The thing that would hold me off from getting rid of them, and thankfully I didn't get so many that it gets to the whole parents throwing out your boxes of cards sort of situation. But that, and I'm picturing them now in my mind's eye. Mm-hmm. These were my formative football, baseball, in some cases basketball experiences. This is how I got to know the players. By looking at the cards and looking at them back then, before you just open up. Back then, I would look at them over and over and over and over again.
I'm glad you mentioned that, and it's something I've mentioned here too. And there's one thing I wish that could change with some of these cards is when I was younger, I would read the stats, I'd read the info, and you don't really see that on a lot of them today.
Really?
Because again, I've mentioned this before. I would remember for basketball guys' height. Like I do, Shaq 7'1", Penny 6'7".
For me, it was birth dates. Like there was this tipping point of in 1985, the first year that that was the year I started card collecting. If you were born in the 1940s, you were like there was a tipping point in my mind that you were old. You were 1950 or younger, you were young. And so that always stuck out. If I was like 1948, wow. At the time, though, that made a difference. But and I know that birth dates and some of those are still in there, but not
like
as
even
much.
like I remember having Terry Porter cards and just thinking it was the coolest thing looking on the back because that's how I knew he played at Stevens Point. Mm-hmm. It's like I thought that was the coolest thing, but I learned that from the back there. I can tell you right now, if all my math classes incorporated like sports stats from cards, I'd be a lot better at math and I might have actually enjoyed it a little bit more. But it's the unique thing like that. And I think what's unique with this hobby with like sports card collecting, it is something that you start as a kid, but you could still be involved with as an adult, but you're still involved with, like I'm with Hudson doing it. It's one of those activities that you don't really outgrow. Right. Or when you're a kid, you don't quite understand, and maybe you don't get into it until you get older. It's one of those that is so year-round, doesn't matter how young or old you are.
You still can get into it. Mm-hmm. I think that's become more acceptable as time has gone on. Like, I don't know that my dad was born in 1945. I don't know. He would have been old enough to be in like the first wave of cards in the 50s and 60s. I don't ever recall talking about, and he's plenty sports fan, but I don't ever recall him talking about cards. He probably wasn't really into that.
Mm-hmm.
But my point being, at that time, 80s, 90s, well, I'll say more 1980s to start, because cards were we've talked about the waves of card popularity over time.
Yep.
Up through the 80s, card collecting, mainly football and baseball cards, sure seemed to be a thing. I don't recall at that time hearing of many older people that were that, and if you did, it was like nerd card collector type. Think of the guy from The Simpsons, comic book guy.
Yep.
It was kind of in that realm, but that it was a kid thing. Then the 90s came, and card collecting, by and large, seemed to be uncool, and that's in part because we flooded the market with sports cards, and that's what happened. And we know the history since then. But since then, older people, it's not looked as any sort of like, oh, you're a card collector and you're 40. No, it's been normalized for a long time, to the point now where you can do that. You don't think twice about it. You go, well, what are people going to think? No, you just do it because that's natural.
I just like looking at them, too.
Right. It's fine. Well, and here's another interesting point about looking at the cards. Aaron Schatz, from now, what was he with?
Football
now?
Outsiders?
I was with Football Outsiders. Now it's, was it FTN or what?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yes. DVOA guy.
DVO, I was just going to say that. Yep.
Lately, in the past few weeks, he's been sharing like cards from 1978 or something, like old cards. And you see like the really bad tops, airbrushing of like the guy that got traded to the Eagles. So he's wearing a very plain green helmet, stuff like that. But I think he pointed out in one of these sharings that you could see the football players' faces. You don't oftentimes see watching the games. They just have helmets. You got to know what a lot of these people look like.
I think I remember seeing him post that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I think as soon as you said that part about seeing their faces, I'm like, that sounds familiar.
I could identify mid-'80s football players way better probably than 2020s football players, because you got to see, I know there's plenty of ways you can see what a guy looks like nowadays, but that was such an easy way to do it, and there's not as much of an emphasis on that nowadays. That was a cool thing about card collecting. They kind of humanized the NFL, a tougher one to personalize than the other sports where you see more of the face, more of the head, honestly. Like basketball is easy.
Yep. All right, tell you what, let's take a quick break. Let's get back to some more baseball talk. Where are you on we're calling it the sweat scale, if you're a Brewers fan, with your current state of your team and looking at the schedule and the Cubs kind of in that rear view mirror. Every time I say rear view mirror, I look back, I think of the Jurassic Park scene with T-Rex chasing and the rear view mirror. It says, objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. That's when I think about it. So, but
Another 90s reference.
Yeah, exactly. How concerned are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Send your picks on over 715-830-1912. We'll take a quick break and be back with some baseball talk coming up after these quick words. When it comes to feeding your family, quality matters. And for great tasting meats, you don't have to look any further than Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. From fresh cuts of beef and pork to delicious brats, steaks, and all of your favorites for the grill, Mike's Star Market brings you the quality and service that you expect from a true local butcher shop. Whether you're firing up the grill, planning a family meal, or stocking up the freezer, stop by Mike's Star Market and experience the difference of shopping local. Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. Quality meats, hometown service, and a tradition that you can taste. Just a quick note, we got about 11 minutes to the top. I do have to take one more quick break, play a little catch-up here. I was thinking really quick, going back to the card thing. I want to do a segment. I don't know, it'd probably be better for the pod, but I don't know how to do this. But I feel like grab a random card, because I saw this joke a long time ago. It's something about just randomly name an athlete and two guys will be in heaven talking about that random athlete.
Yes.
I almost feel like there's something there with a segment. Just grab a random card. Oh, it's so-and-so, and just talk about that player. I don't know how to quite do that, but there's got to be something there. Something there. So I got to think about that a little bit more.
Yeah, it depends on also what card stack you have.
Exactly, that's the other part too. So
if it's not 19, again, to go back to my years, if it's not 1985 to 87, where I have the majority of my cards,
or maybe it's two separate things where it's like, okay, here's a featured segment card, and then it's like another one, just randomly pick an athlete, and go.
Yeah. But I mean, there's plenty of ways to do it though. Like you could just bring up like the all-time roster for a given, but that's not as fun as picking out a card from a stack.
Yeah.
There's something about the physical. All right, who's this? Oh yeah, I remember That's better.
There's another thing too that I want to do. See, like I'm an ideas man. Shout out to Brandon's mom and Rocky, because they allegedly picked me up one of those Brewers Dice Box giveaways from this past weekend. So it was like one of the Brewers Dice Box. Like, so got that.
Got that.
I want to come up with a segment that includes the Dice Box. Like if you roll this, okay, we're talking about this. Like,
okay, that's going to be way easier because you got the Dice Box.
There's so many dice. So what's the range? You know what I mean? Like if you roll this, you're going to do this. If you roll that, there's so many variations of it.
Okay, so
but that's a Wisconsin thing with the Dice Box. So there's something there.
Okay, you could assign different. Okay, now this is getting into like 70s game show territory.
Exactly.
You assign certain categories to the numbers.
Okay.
So
if I roll a 1, we're doing this?
You're in roll a 1, we're talking Packers in the 21st century.
Okay.
If you roll a 2, we're talking.
So I'd only have to roll 1 dice? Because there's multiple dice in this thing,
so that
that's
right.
the other part.
I know, so that probably wouldn't work. But so how many dice total are in the box? Remind me.
6, I think.
So you could. Yeah. So 6 would be the minimum number. And the highest number would be 36.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of categories. But you could do a range, like, or if you want to narrow it down, it could be like a 13 would be Brewers pitchers. See where I'm like, you can see where again the 70s game show, our categories are, and all of that.
You might be onto something
Jeopardy.
now. Yeah.
I think that's where it works. And if you
got to incorporate a dice box into this, there's something there.
If you do 31 numbers, because again, there's 31 possibilities, 6 of it up to 236. That's actually 31 numbers. Well, you got a whole lot of categories, and at least one, to go back to the Jeopardy reference, one has to be potpourri.
Yep.
Has to be.
Potpourri.
I love that one.
Oh, man. All right, let's do this. We'll take our break so we can wrap up this third hour and then get back to some baseball talk. Brewers fans, where are you on the sweat scale? 1 through 10, you're sweating profusely. You're like, who was the basketball coach that always sweated through his,
John Chaney.
Are you John Chaney.
With the now granted he had
John Thompson had the
John
towel.
Thompson. Sorry. John
Thompson had the towel.
Had the towel.
But there's you're that basketball coach that's wearing a suit and you're just drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
Like that's Ted.
I'm really thinking Ted Stryker in the airplane.
That too. That's a good reference. Yeah. So, are you that nervous or are you cool as the other side of the pillow, as Stuart Scott would say, at a 1? Let us know. We'll take a quick break as we start to wrap up the third hour after these quick words. All right, just a couple minutes left to the top of the hour. I would say the sweat scale is officially around a 6 so far if we were to add up all the different averages out there. So.
Yeah. How many more injuries until we get like, where are you on the sweat scale?
I was probably at like a 6.
When do you get to like an 8? Is that one more injury pushes it over?
Let's see the series after the Dodgers, because I think you factor in you got the Dodgers coming up after this series.
Just in time for the Dodgers to start getting back on track. Great.
Cubs are playing well. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've got an easier schedule. So, I mean, you look at the injuries. Bryce Terang, I'm a little concerned on he's got a sprained thumb. Well, we saw what a thumb injury, and I know it was broken, but last year with Contreras, how much it affected him at the plate more so. Cooper Pratt's on the IL. Sounds like end of August, late August return. Joey Ortiz has missed games because of a neck issue. I mean, you're playing Andrew Vaughn at third base. You know, you've got it's Bay that's, you know, a new addition that's getting playing time now. Jet Williams, you can't call him up because he's been bagged up. So it's like, for crying, can we get Jesus Madej up now? Can we just make that? Yeah. I know it's not going to happen, but
we're running
out of guys.
This is the time for the late call-ups to suddenly go on a run.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a soft 5, and I say soft because I'm not panicking. I know I'm not a diehard Brewers fan, but I'm like did we? There's so much that happens in a regular season. For the Brewers, wake me up when the playoffs start. That's really all that matters at this point. Sorry, we've gone through so much of this. Let's see them actually do it there. Do we really think because the Dodgers went on a losing streak, well, they're done? No. Yeah. They're I'm sorry, they're the favorites still.
But Dodgers versus Brewers, which one would you have more confidence that they're going to be fine? It's going to be Dodgers.
Of course,
right?
The Dodgers, yes. But again, vagaries of the season. I'm going to keep saying this for the next several months until October comes around. So find a way to get everyone healthy by October. If you have to have people go on the IL right now, you're not going to lose your playoff spot. You might end up in a worse seed, yeah, but focus on making sure you have depth come postseason time. I'm a lot more worried if Bryce Terang is missing October games. If Jackson Churrio's out for October, we got a big problem.
Yep.
But worry about that then. If they need to take extra time now, fine.
All right, we'll talk some more baseball coming up. Sportico has released their NFL franchise valuation rankings list. Where did your favorite team land? I think we probably all know who number 1 is. Yeah. But where did maybe Green Bay, Minnesota rank? Well, let's just say both of those two franchises, just a quick glance, both of them, well, one fell the furthest down in their rankings from the previous year. The other one tied for the second steepest drop. Which one? Which one fell the most?
Local football in crisis.
Yeah, right? Oh, boy. All right, 3 in, 1 more to go. We'll tell you about that coming up after these quick news updates. All right. Final hour kicking off on this Wednesday morning. We are making a turn on this week. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll get back to some baseball talk here in just a skosh. But I want to bring this up because this is always kind of fun to take a look at. So Sportico released their NFL franchise valuation rankings. Okay, so how much are these franchises worth? Well, we could just tell you that a lot of them went up this year, which is probably big surprise. Any guess on who number one is?
Might it be the Dallas Cowboys?
Ding, ding. They are worth a whopping $15.5 billion. Shocker. Second, Rams at 12.7.
Okay.
Giants, third. Patriots, fourth. And the Jets moving up 3 spots to the 5th spot.
But
what's the
also
common theme here?
New York, Los Angeles, or big success, or you're the Cowboys and everyone talks about you.
Yep, exactly. So, where do the Packers and the Vikings rank on this list? The team that fell the furthest from previous year's ranking was the Green Bay Packers.
Wow.
They fell 4 spots. They are the 22nd ranked team. However, they moved up 33% from last year's ranking.
So they're still going up.
Yeah, they're worth $8.59 billion.
See, now, if Mark Murphy hadn't been sledding down that hill, imagine how much further up they could have gone.
Yep.
You guys still got about 15 more minutes to get in your Mark Murphy takes, and they're really expired.
But so they were like a little over $6 billion last year. So they actually went up. Even though they went down in the rankings in the NFL, they went up. Your Vikings are tied for the second for this fall. They were 23rd, so they're behind Green Bay. But they also had a 32% growth. Yeah. No team had a negative. In fact, the team that had the smallest amount of 1-year value change is a team that's in the top 5. That'd be the Giants at 17% growth.
Probably because the Giants are, I don't really want to say they're a tire fire. I think they're a little more stable. But, yeah.
Any guess on the team that had the highest increase from last year? May not be a big surprise after, I don't want to give it away, but after I might
Commanders?
explain it to you. No.
Okay. I suppose that their big game would have been right after the Snyder one, so that's a little outdated.
You're on the right track, though, since with just that, what you just said there.
So, Seahawks?
Seahawks, 46% increase.
And then you got a nice actual purchase number to attach to that. Plus, of course, Super Bowl.
Yep. Chicago, by the way, they dropped 3 spots, but they are 14th on this list. Okay. The team that is worth the fewest amount of billions of dollars.
I did see the list there. But
Bengals and then the Saints. So okay. Detroit, 27th. On that list in terms. So the Ford family. Yeah.
I mean, they actually have to maybe win a few more things in the playoffs, I guess.
But, I mean, the top 3 has been the same for the last, I'm kind of going back, last few years. Giants and Rams have kind of flip-flopped. 2023 was the last year the Giants were in the second spot behind Dallas. So
the interesting thing, too, here, we were just talking about big markets. And the Giants and the Jets and the Rams are all up at the top. And then the Chargers are 19th. So just because you're in Los Angeles, and again, that was a knock on L.A. for the longest time. Like, how many fans do they actually have? Well, I mean, that's still kind of a thing with the Chargers. Plus, they still underwhelm. Whereas the Rams have been good, by and large, and being in Los Angeles, so you got a 1-2 punch with that. They feel more like, and well, I still think it helps with perception. A lot of this is perception. The Cowboys, it's perception. A lot of it is that the Rams feel like an LA team to an outsider. Now, if you actually asked a Los Angelino, I don't know what they'd say. I don't want to pretend to know what they would say about that. But here in Western Wisconsin, they feel like an LA team a little bit more. I still call the Chargers the San Diego Chargers. So there you go.
I do too.
Yeah. not going to change. Side note, I'm now calling the Titans. I almost screwed this up. I almost said I call the Oilers I call the Titans the Oilers just because the uniform changed. Solely because of that, and all offseason since that change, now I call them the Oilers again. It's not the worst thing in the world, but that's back. So anyway, go on.
What I was going to say is the one thing. So we look at all these valuations, but you look at the top teams. How many of those are perennial playoff contending teams? Compare that to maybe like baseball and, team valuations and such.
Doesn't quite sync up.
No. I mean, Rams, yeah. I mean, they're a favorite again. Dallas is always kind of hovering, but I mean, for crying out loud, when was the joke the last time they won it or been to a conference game?
It is. We are now 31 years removed from their last Super Bowl and conference championship game appearance.
Yep.
Giants. Yeah, maybe better, but they're
Patriots just were in the Super Bowl.
But they went through a fallow period, but they're all look, their name, that brand's going to hold for a while.
Jets, Dolphins.
At the Dolphins,
Raiders, come on. I mean, and then Atlanta's a top 10 team too.
Falcons, no. Commanders, no. We skipped past the 49ers, who obviously been good, and the Eagles have been good. Yep. But here that's your point. About half of those teams either have a lot of bad seasons or they've gone a long time without doing anything of significance in the playoffs. Dolphins, really, I mean, maybe that's some history holding up there. Again, that's your formative years will keep a lot of what you have locked in your mind of success. In the case of the Dolphins, I still am used to them being a great team from the 70s and 80s because those were my formative years. They haven't been to a conference championship game since 1992. Trying to think which team has gone longer, and I think the longer one, the Cleveland Browns.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, because I know that just about I think the Dolphins have the longest run right now of any non-Cleveland Browns team because again, asterisk, years off, blah blah blah.
Okay. Houston's never been, but I mean they were new 2002. Yeah, Browns last appearance 1990, Dolphins 93, Cowboys
and that's
96.
the January of.
Yep.
So it's been a long time for the Dolphins, a long time for the Cowboys.
Speaking of team values, some breaking news.
Ooh,
for the second time in 18 months. The Lakers have been sold.
What? Again?
Yep.
Why?
Bob Iger from Walt Disney.
Bob Iger? And okay, I follow entertainment stuff a little more, so that's why I'm a little bit.
Josh Kushner, who's that? That name sounds familiar.
Now is there any relation to Jared Kushner of, Trump world? But I don't know if Josh Kushner's part of that.
He is the younger brother of Jared Kushner.
Oh, okay.
So $12 billion.
Holy
record-breaking price of over $12 billion. So apparently Kushner and Iger were involved in the expansion process in Vegas, but a stunning turn. They pivoted to make an aggressive offer to buy the Lakers from Mark Walter, who had purchased a controlling interest in the team from Buss family last year.
Wasn't there something involving Walter and there was some I know I'm being vague on this, but there was something that was a little bit something was a little off with whatever, I don't know. That came out about a month or two ago. And I wonder if that has anything to do with this.
I don't know.
Maybe. Interesting. Very interesting.
$12 billion.
I mean, Bob Iger is again, for anyone who doesn't follow that, Bob Iger has been main Disney guy he took some time out, came back. Kushner, again.
Apparently he's also a minority owner of the Heat. So I'm assuming that's going to be done. So
Heat Lakers.
Must be a big Pat Riley guy.
Right. We're going to bring Pat Riley back to the Lakers. Okay, there's going to be some really bad takes out there. Someone's actually going to say that. That's not going to happen. Giannis. to the Lakers. Side note, so are we picking up, and maybe you did talk about this already, the whole like Giannis is not under pressure?
Oh, I didn't see this.
A little bit. Okay, now, and mind you, I'd say Jim Osharski was calling this out like the last day or two. Like, oh, really? We're already starting to say like, pressure's off now that he's in Miami. Like, after all of this, like the Bucks need to do him right and win or trade, and now, now the ones that were saying this, I think he was noting Zach Lowe and it's another one of the main analyst types, and Osharski A said he respects them. B, I don't know if Lowe and some of the others have like are they ones that had similarly said he's under pressure before? You know, like it's the whole like people will complain about one thing. Situation changes. People complain about the other. Well, was it the same people? It could be different people. So but I want to flag that a little bit. Like, how much do we see? Giannis is not under any pressure this year. Just keep that in the back of your mind as the season goes along.
Part of that because of what the 76ers did? So, like, all the pressures on the 76ers?
I kind of wonder, like, I was thinking that with regards, like, of course, we have the opening night and the Christmas schedule come out. And that made me think, because, of course, the Timberwolves finally got a home game on Christmas Day. But then it dawned on me, the machine that was moving into Ant Must Be Moved quieted down. I don't know if that's because there was no more smoke there. Okay. I also wonder if, probably more likely, because a lot of this is superficial, how much of this was just LeBron. Which I don't know about everyone else. I was getting sick of like all these LeBron updates. I thought that I know LeBron's a very huge talking point, but I thought the whole LeBron free agency thing was a little overdriven as the summer went along, and I'm guessing that sucked up all of the oxygen for anything else NBA related this summer. After free agency, it felt like most of July, even getting into early August, was LeBron. So that probably quieted everything else down. Giannis, Ant, you name it, probably not a whole heck of a lot. So now we see this with the Lakers. Post-LeBron, $12 billion. Were they because I saw the list from Sportico, but it was by sport, not team, of the most valuable franchises, and it was like football, basketball, like literally the ball itself.
Yeah. Yep.
Was that the Lakers? And this is pre that, because I was looking at that like 2 minutes before the Lakers thing came out. But that has to be it.
It's got to be the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be. Yeah, because when I tried clicking on it, it doesn't say.
It's got to be the Lakers. If you ask me which one is the most valuable NBA franchise, it's the Lakers.
So yeah, it's football, basketball's 4. Football. That's top 10. Then basketball. I would assume Knicks, Celtics, maybe.
Knicks
possibly.
and Celtics would be my guesses. Again, I know the data's out there if anyone can see it. Cool, but that would be my guess.
Football. Baseball finally shows up at 18.
It's got to be probably the Dodgers at this point. I would ordinarily say the Yankees, but right now, I would say the Dodgers.
Then another football. Then another baseball. And
Yankees.
Then, it's got to be the next time a baseball team shows up is 41. So it's got to be Dodgers, Yankees, and then maybe Mets after that.
Maybe the Cubs. Or Red Sox.
Red Sox with John Henry in that. Yeah.
What's the highest ranked soccer ball?
36.
Probably Inter Miami right now, entirely because of Lionel Messi.
But just to tell you how valuable football is, every football team, of the top 100 most valuable sports teams, every single football team is in the top 38.
Yeah. That's the nature of the NFL right now. The valuations are high. They're going to go.
First hockey team shows up at 74. A Formula One or NASCAR team shows up before a hockey team.
More international money there. And like the demographic, it has a lot more finances than the hockey demographic.
Yeah, I'll just say racing shows up at 44.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, again, it's probably like a McLaren or someone like that is up there. And yeah, we could find the numbers, but that would be my first guess. So the highest, which one would be number one in hockey right now? Would it be the Leafs? Again, they're like the Cowboys.
Yeah.
They haven't done anything in decades.
Yeah. I don't like Rangers. Would they be just?
Maybe the Rangers. As much as they're always seemingly relevant, it's not the Penguins. I don't think it's the Caps even with Ovechkin. It's not. I know Florida has dominated hockey for the most part this decade, but I wouldn't say the Lightning or the Panthers are that big. It's not the defending champion Hurricanes.
No. Not the Red Wings. I went just
no.
That's,
They've tailed off. Like they could easily leap back up, but they've been too bad for too long, and now they're resetting themselves. Not the Blackhawks. I don't think it's Vegas. Is good again. Vegas has been pretty good. Again, got to the Stanley Cup final, but it's not. They're not tops there. Fascinating on that. So, $12 billion for the Lakers.
Start saving, kids, if you want to own a sports franchise. That's where we're at.
Huh. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen anytime.
No. So if that's 12, again, what was the top for just really quick? Because I know I got to take a break.
$15 billion for the Cowboys.
15, and then.
Now, mind you, 15 was Sporticos, and $12 billion is the coincidentally the news breaking right now about the Lakers' sale would be worth $12 billion.
Right. So that would put them, if we did it, I mean, okay, still at fourth because the Giants are $12 billion worth value. So, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Get your piggy banks going, kiddos. You want to be a sports franchise owner? Start saving now.
You could have a sports franchise. It's just probably not going to be in the
pro
end.
one,
right? Or very tiny pro, like super semi-pro.
Yep. This is where I think now that we're probably going to see, and I know the NFL has strict rules on this, but they're going to have to expand it more investors. Where they limit that, like what's the investment groups? There's a name for that.
Hedge. Well,
is it hedge funds or
hedge funds? But that's not. But that's one of the usual sources. Private equity.
Yes. Because I mean, with the values of these,
you don't have the money.
Yeah. There's not one person who could just cut that check. So.
Don't have $12 billion, right? Hey, here you go.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right, let's take a quick break. Back with some baseball talk coming up after these few words. What are some of the latest and greatest sales going on at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire? How about 3 for $9 Jack's frozen pizzas? Yeah, load up those deep freezers, baby. How about $4.99 for a 2-pack of boneless, skinless chicken breasts, firing up the grills? And as always, don't forget to check out where you can also save some money at the gas pump. So if you buy some celery for $1.49, you can also save some perks with the fuel perks too. So if you shop smart by checking the Hy-Vee flyer here, you could earn up to $4.18 off per gallon this week. It is possible. I have seen people do this where they have to pay a penny to fill up their gas tank if you shop smart. So check out the flyer at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire by looking up Hy-Vee in Eau Claire's Facebook page. Yeah, just kind of going through some of the stuff here about this Lakers thing is kind of interesting. I mean, not often do you see an iconic franchise get sold twice within under 2 years.
That's the strange thing with this.
Exactly. And honestly, I know we were talking a little bit about the valuations of these franchises. It's not that far off to see a franchise probably going to be sold for $20 billion at some point, right?
Here's the question. Will a big franchise be sold? Period.
But does that increase the price of other ones when they do become?
They do. Then the thing is, it's the churn below. They can get higher and higher. And so, of course, that would push. But see, now that might make it less likely that the biggest ones do get sold. So let's say Shad Khan sells the Jaguars and gets the Jaguars to $7 billion. I don't know what, maybe I'm actually understating the Jags. But you're like, Jaguars, $7 billion? Well, if they're that, then what would the Cowboys? But then they must be $20 billion because you do the whole relativity thing. Well, now also we're estimating the actual prices are going to be different than what we estimate. Sportico is great with this, but they're doing the best that they can evaluate. You actually have to have people have dollars or invested dollars to spend on a purchase. So, I can't remember where I was reading it. It might be, just won't say his name because it's not a hot take here. But now with the Seahawks being done, I mean, who's next? No one seems like an obvious. Now, of course, you would have said that about the Lakers. Clearly, shocker. So, barring the shockers,
well, heck, even the Celtics, wasn't that a couple years ago?
Wasn't that long ago? I don't know. Okay, if you're just going NFL, Jerry Jones is not selling that. That is staying in the family for probably the rest of our lives. Let's be real.
Well, I thought the same thing with the Bus family.
Oh, yeah. So right. So again, shockers can happen.
Yep.
Sure looks like the Maritish thing is moving through their families, so the Giants probably aren't going anywhere.
Same with the Bears. It's going to be in the Hallis Mikulski or whatever family. Yep.
All of that. The Kraft family will probably hold on to the Pats.
Ford's assuming Detroit.
Probably. Still. The Jets, I don't know with Woody Johnson, but I'm guessing he's probably going to keep it that way. I don't see the Lurie selling. Yeah. Again, you start going through the list, and logically they're probably holding. So I don't think we're going to see a big sale there. Maybe baseball, basketball, you look around some of those. But, I mean, unless with the Dodgers, I know they got several people involved there. But if Mark Walter if that's certain something that might be out there is a thing, do the Dodgers get sold? But also their value right now is getting so high, who would?
And they got a lot of bills to be paying here, too. So
that's another thing, yeah. Deferred money. Well, that is money that ultimately does need to be paid.
Yep.
Combined with what if the CBA is not that favorable to a very deferred-oriented team? So, the Steinbrenners really selling the Yankees at any point? Are the Ricketts going to sell the Cubs? I mean,
I'll ask a Cubs fan, and that you get different thoughts.
Well, sure, they may want that, but is it going to happen?
Right.
And then there's the Fenway Group with John Henry. Now, again, you ask Red Sox fans, they really want that to happen, but would they do that?
Right.
Probably not. Stephen Cohen is sure as heck not selling the Mets.
No. That's a legit fan playing some Monopoly money with his team.
That's if you got to own the Brewers.
Yeah.
Would you sell the Brewers?
No.
No. Of course not.
Nope. I'd be in the red before I would.
No.
I'd still be in the red and I'd still keep them. So.
No, of course. You got to own your favorite team. I don't like the Wilfs are probably not going to sell the Vikings if we're looking more locally, and we know the Packers. So there's your NFC North. We just addressed all four, and that's not realistically not changing anytime soon. So I don't think we will see the opportunity again outside of a Lakers situation from this morning. No, I don't think it's necessarily going to come up anytime soon. So the valuations keep going up for the foreseeable future. I did read finish that Chuck Klosterman book that I.
Oh, you already read?
Yeah, it's the Altoona Summer Reading Program because I live in Altoona and you got to read 10 books by August 15th. So I'm like, well, I had to.
Oh, you're like a school and procrastinating a little bit.
Well, you know what? Actually, A, yes, I'm a procrastinator. B, here I was like, no, you gotta read. So I made a point to find any waking moment that I could. How did I make it through 10 books? Okay, one of them, admittedly, was like a big atlas book, so it's one of those that you can't really read all full. But I've read enough of it, so is it okay? I'm not going to spoil it because you still gotta read it, but. You could see the scenario where the valuations go down. And I think a lot of that's now Klosterman makes his football case, so I won't go further into that again. Spoiler, not more specifically for you here on the other side of the studio, but for anyone reading. But I could see a scenario where one of the things he lays out for why football may, shall we say, not be as popular in the longer term future. This is not like the whole football's going to fall apart in 5 years. He's not saying that at all. Advertising. At what point do businesses go,
that's enough?
Commercials, what are we really getting in return for this? That underpins a lot of valuations because sports media rights, advertisers hold that up. If that ever starts, if we ever get to a saturation point, and we're not there, obviously. The Super Bowl, I think, is sold out already. Didn't I see that story the other day?
Yep.
It probably is out there. I mean, I don't think you can keep going up, and have like a $1 trillion Super Bowl advertisement and throwing something like that. No, that's not going to happen. If we hit a peak, then the values then the media organizations aren't going to spend as much, and the values start to go down. I think that I don't think this necessarily goes up in for eternity. But I don't know where that peak is. Is it $50 billion? Is it $100 billion for an American sports team? I mean, you've got the international ones as well. And now you also see why I think. And maybe I'm connecting two things that there's not a connection, but I think this is a big part of why leagues in America want to grow internationally. Because there's more advertising dollars out there, because there are more eyeballs out there, people who aren't fans already.
Right.
So you grow it around the world, even if it's not necessarily in the United States of America. There are X number of people. And if younger people maybe aren't quite as interested, or if they're in it because of polymarket, gambling, college, any of that, well, it's not necessarily because of the sport.
Right.
And that you can hollow out underneath a lot of that. So I don't know when we're going to see a $20 billion sale, for example. I don't know that it will happen. Who's going to sell? Yeah. Maybe not.
All right. We'll take a quick break. Back with plenty more coming up as we start to wrap up the final hour after these quick words. Don't forget to pack Carson Park tonight as the Express will be taking on St. Cloud in the playoffs. The Express defeating La Crosse last night 3-1 in a decisive Game 3. So if the Express win tonight, talking about championship game then. So we'll make sure you, if you got some time tonight, got nothing going on, head on down to Carson Park and pack that stadium to cheer them on. To hopefully, I like the not to jinx it, but I like their chances here. I like it. So let's get her done.
So if they don't get through, then you are the jinx. Clearly,
probably
right here. Yes,
probably. So, but
well, this is pretty cool. Seeing them do this.
Yeah, and they've been, solid throughout the whole season. I mean, first half they were making a push. I know they got off to a little bit of a slow start as guys were starting to come in.
Always happens.
Second half they were amazing.
They've been really good of late, so I generally like their chances. Yeah, I do. I do.
That was, and makes it a little bit sweeter too to beat La Crosse. Just saying.
Always good. Yes.
Brewers wise, it was not good last night. They're just kind of scrounging up the lineup. Terang was playing at short. Andrew Vaughn got to start at third base the night prior. So Kyle Harrison was not on last night. Hopefully they can at least get a game in this series and go into that Dodgers series with a little bit of momentum.
Well, but the Pods did upgrade more.
They did. They're a better Padres team than what they were a couple months ago.
Yes,
I think we can all agree on that. Mm-hmm. But even going to the Twins series, it was a tough series against the Twins.
Yeah.
They had to fight and claw to win that series. Mm-hmm. So nothing's been going easy here for the Brewers. And when we ask, on that sweat scale, where are you at? Yeah, I'm nervous just because, in part, it's a lot of factors. Injuries, how well the Cubs have been playing.
Yeah.
Schedule, Cubs have an easier schedule. They're finishing up with the Nationals the next couple of days and then the Cardinals. So, and the Cubs just beat the Dodgers. So, 4-game lead. Yeah, I'm a little nervous.
I understand.
I'm a little nervous, but I think the comforting maybe part of this is that, okay, you would hope that these injuries that the Brewers are going through with position player wise, they're all going to come back. It's not going to be long-term stuff, but it's just you have two of your shortstops getting hurt at the same time. Not ideal.
The timing is not good.
Yeah.
They could use a bat.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't help too when Contreras and Yelich are not hitting well.
It's again cliche. A perfect storm.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, small scale perfect storm, because again, this isn't like lost all their starting pitchers right now, and Churio's out with an injury that's going to take him out for the rest of the season. It's nothing like that. Churio went a long time without hitting a home run either.
Yeah,
but then he got a little bit more back on track. So again, it's not 100% bad news for the Brewers at this point. But it's again the ebb and flow of the season, and I think they're right in a bit of an ebb.
Right
at this point,
I know some people are saying, "Oh, see, they already peaked." And
no. I don't think so. I think it's more of an amalgamation or a confluence. I'm trying to fancy words here, but like a lot of stuff is not going great at one time,
right?
And it happens to a lot of teams. That's what's happening right now. I don't see some fundamental problem with the Brewers where they're not going to do well in the playoffs because of what's happening right now.
Right.
So I'm okay.
Yep. Yeah.
For now, anyway.
For now, I'm good. Let's get out of San Diego. let's. I don't know why it's West Coast, San Diego. Let's get out of there, and hopefully they have a good showing. The one started. It's a 4-game series too with the Dodgers. Remember, Brewers will be going up against Skubal in Game 4, and the Brewers will be pitching Logan Henderson, which is a great storyline with that matchup because, by all accounts, if the Brewers would have included Logan Henderson in the trade proposal, Skubal would be with the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a great storyline matchup.
That'll be nice.
If I'm Henderson, of course I'm going to be a little bit more amped up with it. You'll downplay it. Mm-hmm. It's that fine line of just making sure that you don't overdo it. So you get too wound up and you get away from what you've been doing so great this year.
My early prediction is the Dodgers will win that game. I know that's still a little ways out. But
I think that'll be the Sunday game if I remember. But yeah.
Presuming there are no surprise injuries or whatever. But that would be my guess. Look, the Brewers are still up 4 on Chicago. They're realistically going to win the division. Again, it's tightening up a little bit right now, but even 4-game leads at this point, yeah, they can. We've seen it plenty of times get overturned very late, but most times they stay fairly stable. Mm-hmm. I think the Brewers will hold on in the division anyway. Mm-hmm. Whether they hold on for a top 2, we'll see. It's close enough competition, but no, I think they will ultimately be okay.
So before we have to let you go here in a few minutes, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this. Kyler Murray has already been named your starting quarterback for your Vikings. The timing before the first preseason game, now I think it's a legit question. J.J. McCarthy's future.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tricky land. It's not saying it can't be done, but it's a tricky thing to okay, his first year he was hurt. Okay, kind of wash it. Last year, starter, 10 games, won 6 out of the 10 games.
Yeah.
Up and down performances. Mm-hmm. So now you bring in a veteran. He's benched. Now we've seen Bryce Young get benched, and it exploded after that. That's probably the exception to a lot of that. So, not saying it can't happen, but I mean, the future of J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota, is it pretty bleak? Did they give up on him? Did they just rush him too much last year because it was kind of his rookie year? It's a thin line. It's a really thin line in this thing.
Yeah.
But how do you feel personally about your quarterback situation for the next few years?
For the next few years, not great. Kyler Murray feels like a one-time one. That's no shock with this. But we also knew Kyler Murray was brought in to be the starting quarterback. That's the reason why he went to Minnesota. He would not have if he was thought to be a backup. Judd Zulgad at his Score North, or his Substack, was ragging on the Vikings a bit for so why did we have to go through this charade? Do the back and forth and back and forth. That reduced the number of reps that Murray ultimately probably needed, more importantly than McCarthy, to get used to an entirely new offense. And when we knew what was going to probably happen in the end, was this about keeping McCarthy? And maybe O'Connell genuinely wanted to get this far along. Like he said, he had about this time in mind to name a starter. Maybe he legitimately wanted it. Fair enough. But long term, I don't know if McCarthy's going to be with the team. I don't know if he's going to be with the team in a week. Like when I saw the news yesterday, I thought, are we going to see some behind-the-scenes trade machinations going on, whether that's from McCarthy, whether the Vikings decide, hey, let's move him out. On the other hand, Murray had coworkers here at the building was talking about this yesterday. Both McCarthy and Murray have injury history, so maybe you need to have them both because your other option's Carson Wentz,
who has injury history.
Yes. Rosemer, really? But what could you get from McCarthy at this point? I mean, I know people will be like, yeah, well, he could be a third stringer with the Jets. Go with the worst case scenario.
The other part, though, too, okay, so if we're talking trade value, though, how much does his value hurt that your head coach is the play caller, too? And, look what they did with Sam Darnold, and you're not able to do that. Is it more on the McCarthy? Is it more on O'Connell?
Yeah, like if Murray, okay, that's part of the reason maybe, well, oh boy. Yeah, I could see this go either way. You'd get more McCarthy trade value if Murray has a disappointing year this year. Then it's...
But at that point, are you even going to trade McCarthy then? Probably not.
Well, you probably wouldn't. You get more value if it looks like it's not O'Connell, if it looks like, well, maybe something just wasn't working right. Because if Murray has a great year, after Darnold had a good time, I mean, even, I was going to say Wentz. There were a couple moments Wentz looked okay, a couple.
There was that one hot minute last year. I think there was people saying, ooh, starter.
Whoa, Here we go. But if that's all the case, and then McCarthy, and again, I keep saying this over and over, McCarthy looked better towards the end of last year. Does not mean that he's now on the track, because McCarthy has not looked that great in the preseason. Again, I think a lot of that is the back and forth. Neither Murray nor McCarthy looked that great. They didn't look terrible, but they didn't look great.
So maybe this is where Minnesota and O'Connell's like, okay, enough with the charades. We know what's going to happen here. this is so then maybe they can play more loose, relax.
Maybe so. And that, right, the back and forth didn't help. But we're also trying to evaluate an entire season based on early parts of training camp. It's legit. They're actually practicing and we're observing it, but is that everything? No. But yeah, it would hurt McCarthy's trade value if all these other quarterbacks do well and McCarthy doesn't. And they're like, well, there's clearly a problem with McCarthy. That's the superficial way of looking at it. But I'm sure there's some teams that go, well, yeah, we'll give you a 7th rounder, maybe. Yeah. Whereas if Murray doesn't have that great of a season, maybe McCarthy plays more. And what if McCarthy figures it out? See, and then this is a moot point.
The happiest man probably is if he's able to get McCarthy for a backup is going to be Harbaugh.
Oh, gosh.
You know that'll be the first rumor. If McCarthy's going to be out there that'll be the first one. Mm-hmm. And he'll be a backup because he thinks Justin Herbert's the best quarterback of all time, too. So,
he's not. It'll be
he'd probably find a way to try to figure out to get both of them on the field at the same time.
Ooh, does he become the new Taysom Hill?
Right. Yeah.
The Swiss Army knife.
He'll try to figure out something, but yeah.
Side note, anyone calling for the Packers to bring in Taysom Hill?
I wondered when it happened, but nobody said anything.
Packers
last week,
fans like, hey, we can redeem ourselves.
We need tight end depth. I'm just saying.
Oh, there you go.
We ain't got anybody outside Tucker Kraft.
He can kind of play sort of tight end, so there you go. Yeah, I would not. I'll be surprised if they do a trade, but I wouldn't be shocked during preseason, mind you.
Does McCarthy start a game this year?
Yes. I think there'll probably be some sort of Murray injury, not necessarily a season ender, but there's the history there.
Yep.
I think McCarthy ultimately does start.
It does add more intrigue for that week one, considering it's Jonathan Gannon now game planning for Kyler Murray, his former quarterback the last 3 years of Arizona.
How well would that actually go, though? Like, you trust,
And it's going to be the debate that people are going to run with. Who's got the advantage? Gannon, the defensive-minded, who coached him the last 3 years, or Kyler Murray, who knows Gannon?
It's kind of a sad debate there, but yeah, that'll be going into week one. That's a legit question for that. Well, I think the real issue there is still y'all are going up against Brian Flores, and that could also be part of the reason why it's been speculated a bit. Part of the reason why neither Murray nor McCarthy have had a great preseason is that they're going up against the Brian Flores defense, which. Good luck for a whole lot of people on that.
But as a starter, you have to be at least respectable, right?
That too.
Yeah.
Don't suck. There might be some suckitude with that. Is it sad, though, that I think the more likely possibility is that Murray gets injured, but in the meantime, before then, McCarthy somehow injures, like, a pinky finger in practice, so it'll be Carson Wentz that ends up starting instead?
I don't think that's absurd at all.
No, yeah, I could totally see that happening.
Yep. All right, I know you got to get going, so we'll take our final break, and we'll wrap it up with some picks. Coming up after these quick words. All right, we only got a couple minutes left, so let's get to some picks as we wrap up these shenanigans on this Wednesday morning. We've got some baseball games. We got a slate of some preseason games tomorrow we get to pick. That includes the Packers taking on the Steelers. So, but for today's baseball games, we've got Baltimore taking on the Twinnies of Minnesota. Give me the Twins. Phillies versus the Cardinals. I'll go with the Phillies. Rays Athletics. Give me Tampa. Colorado, Arizona, Diamondbacks, Houston, Astros versus Giants. Give me the Astros. Guardians, Tigers. I'll go with the Guardians. Pittsburgh, Miami. I'll go Miami. Cubs, Nationals. Gotta go with the Cubs. Mariners, Yankees. I'll go Yankees. Boston, Toronto. Red Sox. Let's go with the Mets versus Braves. I got the Braves. Reds, White Sox. I'll go with the White Sox. Rangers, Angels. Give me the Rangers. Royals, Dodgers. I'll go with the Dodgers. Brewers, they avoid the sweep. They get the win behind Dustin May. And then finally, our final pick. The Eau Claire Express versus St. Cloud. Carson Park tonight, 6:35. You got nothing going on? Let's fill up Carson Park and cheer on the Express to victory to advance the championship. So let's go. The Express get it done tonight, and they move on. Let's go. Get the train horns, get the train whistles going. Here we go. Best of luck to our friends at the Eau Claire Express in tonight's playoff game. Let's pick up that W. All right, tomorrow morning, Thursday, we'll chat with Jake Boak. So if you have any outdoor-related questions, please text those on over to us right now at 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. Otherwise, tomorrow morning, that'll work too. But send those on over. Plus, a little 3 up, 3 down. Play along with us. We got a preseason football game to talk about tomorrow. We'll get to that coming up tomorrow. All right, have a good one. We'll chat with you later.